preseason home opener. Pete Bursich and yours truly, Paul Allen, described the action from behind the Vikings bench. At the 50-yard line, former Vikings Greg Coleman and Ben Lieber are on the field. And speaking of the aforementioned 6-year linebacker for the Vikings, Ben Lieber, he has tonight's Nissan keys. The players are assembling at center field to establish who gets the ball first. Some technical difficulties with Ben. Pete, top of the head for the Nissan keys. What are some keys you're looking for from the Vikings this evening?
Well, the number one thing that we saw last week is the run defense. Now, Buffalo last week, a pass-happy team. There's no question with guys like Fred Jackson, C.J. Spiller, Tashard Choice in the backfield that they're going to test this run defense of the Minnesota Vikings. Now, Kevin Williams, Jared Allen, Antoine Winfield, those guys are back. And they're going to play big in this game.
Ben, what do you have?
You guys got me now?
Yeah, we got you nicely. Make a play.
All right, thanks, guys. It's great to be here. Preseason game number 2. You know, we got the keys to this game. You guys talked about it earlier in the telecast. We got to stop the run. After last week's performance by the defense, you know, it's way too many yards. I want to see these guys come out and stop the run. You know, number 2, you got to keep Ponder clean. This is a very, very good front four by the Buffalo Bills. You got the return of Mark Anderson and the free agent Mario Williams coming in. Hard off the edge, keep Ponder clean, and lastly, man, just show some attitude, have some fun, control that line of scrimmage, go out there, make some plays, and let's have a good night.
Thank you, Ben. Hurry into your local Nissan dealer for Nissan Summer Saving Days. Visit ChooseNissan.com. So the Vikings lost last week to the San Francisco 49ers 17-6. They'll get the ball first. Christian Ponder last week in his start went 4 of 9 for 80 yards, hit a nice 52-yard stick to Stephen Burton against San Francisco's first defense. Whether it's preseason, regular season, or postseason, that's tough to do.
Yeah, it really is, and the key to that play was the amount of time that Ponder had in the pocket. And he talked about that after the game, that his offensive line did a wonderful job protecting him all night. Now, today, one of the big stories is going to be Matt meet Mario. Matt Khalil, Mario Williams, can he hold up? This is going to be such an exciting test. So if Ponder's going to try to get down the field on this Buffalo speedy secondary, they got to protect him up front.
John Potter kicks to Marcus Sherrills. It's the preseason home opener. It's underway, and welcome to the simulcast. That is a boomer. It goes out of the end zone, and the Vikings will begin from their own 20-yard line, led by Christian Ponder. Behind a Minnesota moving company, the offensive line, left to right, anchored by Matt Khalil, the 4th overall selection in the most recent draft. He's the left tackle. The left guard, Charlie Johnson, he played left tackle last year. Our man in the middle is John Sullivan. Brandon Fusco, a scrappy second-year guy from Slippery Rock, he's the right guard, and Phil Lodeholt, the behemoth right tackle. They all line up in front of Christian Ponder, and here come the Minnesota Vikings, 1st and 10 from their own 20-yard line. Tight end Kyle Rudolph in motion, right to left, I formation. Handoff to Toby Gerhardt to the left, and he weaves his way up the middle, heading up the left hash mark for a gain of 2 yards, and he's eventually tackled, making it 2nd and 8. Toby averaged 6.5 yards per run at San Francisco last week.
Yeah, and the thing with Toby again is the amount of consistency that he has with those runs. It wasn't as if he had a bunch of 1-yarders and then broke off a 70-yard play. Toby is making his hay as a running back, but just being a pound the pavement, grind it out kind of guy. Now, again, another 3-4 scheme some of the time that we're going to see today. Well, you know, he's going to have to, again, Paul, find a way to get to that second level, make a linebacker miss, and try to light up the scoreboard.
Percy Harvin makes his preseason debut. He is slot right, just to the inside of Kyle Rudolph. Michael Jenkins outside of him, and the speedy Jerome Simpson. He's wide left as Ponder goes back to pass. Fires, caught Percy Harvin, 25. Up the field to the 30, and he's shoved out of bounds, late hit. This will be another 15 for the Vikings. Harvin's out of bounds at the 43. Welcome back, Percy. That's a gain of 22.
We talked about the impact that Percy was going to have, and right there, it shows as we get the call from the official.
After the play, personal foul, unnecessary roughness, number 23. 15-yard penalty will be administered for the end of the run. First down.
Here you see a peak, quick swing to Percy, nice blocking.
And that's exactly what Percy does. He has that start and stop speed, and Brian Scott from the Bills unable to get up onto him, and then we see the late hit out of bounds. And guys will do that. When you see a guy like Percy Harvin running, open, you want to put a hit on him, you went just too far out of bounds.
The referee, Robert Frazier, remember we have replacement refs. Here are the past performances on Frazier. He worked the Denver-Chicago game last week. His crew called an inaccurate snap infraction on a right guard, and they also issued a 10-yard penalty for defensive holding. Of course, that's 5 yards. As Ponder goes back to pass, it gets claustrophobic, and he is sacked. He is sacked at the 45-yard line. That is the first sack this season by the Buffalo Bills. That one is Marcel Darius, formerly a 3rd overall pick, 2nd year from Alabama. A loss of 3. Christian has been hit.
Well, for Christian Ponder, he had absolutely nowhere to go with that ball. This is what you call the classic coverage sack. Plenty of time, running backs check through. Just nowhere to go down the field. The Buffalo Bills playing man-to-man defense, covered everybody up.
2nd and 13, 2 receivers right, 1 left, I formation, quick fire left, caught Jerome Simpson inside the 30. He leaps over a defender at the 20. That's what he does, and he stopped at about the 11-yard line, and he was stopped by outstanding safety George Wilson. Jerome Simpson with a 34-yard hit. 1st and 10, Vikings just underway. How about that leaping ability by 81?
What a great job, though, by Christian Ponder to recognize his zone drop and go to his hot route, which was Jerome Simpson. And that's what we've been waiting to see out of this speedy, athletic wide receiver. We all know about his leap before when he was with Cincinnati. But, man, he just loves to go over the top of defenders. That's the athleticism we expected and wanted to see. Great job, Jerome Simpson.
So on 1st and 10, Christian Ponder, 2nd year from Florida State, goes out of the shotgun, trips right, Toby by his side, takes the Sullivan snap, looks right. Now he surveys the same, boom, he's hit, and he's sacked again. Ponder sacked. Back at the 21-yard line, just a few plays, Pete, and Kyle Williams, who previously led the Buffalo Bills in sacks, caught him for a loss of 9. An interesting note about this Bills defensive line, they have 5 guys who at one point have led their teams in sacks. Mario Williams, Kyle Williams, Chris Kelsey, Mark Anderson, Marcel Darius last year. So it's a great test for the Vikings offensive line, already kind of advantaged Buffalo with a couple of sacks. 2nd and long for the Vikings, just underway, Mall of America Field. Ponder hands it off to Toby, spurts up the middle across the 15, lowers the head of the 10, and Toby Gerhardt is taken down at the 4-yard line, taken down by Jarris Byrd, a 4th-year safety from Oregon. That's 16 to the good.
Wow, I love this call. You see the trap inside with the guard pulled, and that is what an offensive coordinator, Bill Musgrave, can see. When these defensive linemen are getting too far upfield, you want to slow them down. How do you do that? Draws, delays, traps. Toby Gerhardt finding that crease and getting up inside.
A lot of confusion. Michael Jenkins in, out, now back in. Percy leaves, 13 on the play clock. Ponder looking to the offensive coordinator, Bill Musgrave. We're going to have to take a timeout here. Some confusion on 3rd and short inside the 5-yard line. Remember, the Vikings began last week and scored on both their opening drives, but they both were field goals. We eventually need to turn those to touchdowns. No score, but the Vikings are threatening. And on 3rd and short from inside 4, we'll be back shortly to Mall of America Field, and the Vikings entertain for tonight. Pete, he's Blair Walsh.
Yeah, Blair Walsh was 2 for 2 last week. A couple nice kickoffs and not in less than ideal conditions in San Francisco.
U.S. Bank, all of us serving you with the U.S. Bank Impact Player. 3rd and short for the Vikings, no score. First possession of the game, Ponders under center. Kyle Rudolph goes in motion right to left, and Christian on 3rd down goes play action, rolls out to the right, keeps the eyes in the end zone, sprints inside the 5, and he's tackled and taken down at the 2. Bad news is he didn't get in. Good news is he probably got a Vikings first down. Took a good hit too by Aaron Williams, a 2nd-year corner from Texas.
And for Christian Ponder, I thought earlier on some of those sacks he should have just heaved the ball out of the end zone, but in this case he had to pull it down and run. Nobody, again, open down deep for the Vikings, so the Viking receivers are having trouble getting open against guys like Aaron Williams and Stephen Gilmore and George Wilson covering our receivers like gloves. Not a lot, nowhere for Ponder to throw. He does a smart thing and pulls it down.
It's 1st and goal, I formation behind Christian. He rolls out to the right, dumps it right, it's caught, and it's a Minnesota Vikings touchdown. It's the Vikings' first touchdown this preseason, and it goes to fullback Jerome Felton.
And this is a play that you know the Buffalo Bills have practiced. This is your basic fullback into the flat, wide open. And that's again, Paul, when you have a strong running game, it's going to give credibility to your play fakes. And on that goal line play, the Buffalo Bill linebackers and D-line, they all stepped up, tried to stuff the run. Jerome Felton wide open into the flat, into the end zone. So a textbook example of how you run that play.
Blair Walsh, the rookie from Georgia, first extra point try. The kick is up, and it is good. So the Minnesota Vikings already have done something they were not able to do last week, score a touchdown. It's Minnesota 7, Buffalo 0. This is Minnesota Vikings football. Now the Minnesota Department of Public Safety drive summary brought to you by the Minnesota Department of Public Safety. Drive sober or get pulled over. We go 8 plays. 80 yards, took nearly 4 minutes. Jerome Felton catches a TD pass from Christian Ponder.
I think that drive, though, the big key was Jerome Simpson. It was a nice play by Ponder, seeing the zone blitz, gets it to his hot, and Jerome Simpson doing what we expected him to do, hurdling defenders, the explosiveness, the speediness. He didn't get there all the way for a touchdown, but he moved the chains and made it an explosive play.
Here's Blair Walsh's kick, per usual, deep in the end zone, and T.J. Graham, a speedster, brings it out, heads to the right side of the 5 to the 10 to the 15 to the nearly the 20-yard line, and after a 25-yard return, he's taken down. Here comes the Minnesota Vikings defense this evening, featuring Jared Allen, Antoine Winfield, and Kevin Williams on the Vikings Entertainment Network.
He should bolster this run defense, and he's one of those kind of corners that's involved in the run game. So tonight I expect to see Antoine knocking some people out.
Ryan Fitzpatrick is the quarterback for the Buffalo Bills, goes out of the shotgun, hands it off to the tailback, who heads to the right side and is corralled at the 21-yard line. By the way, the social media look for the Minnesota Vikings, provided by the State Fair, the Great Minnesota Get-Together, August 23rd through Labor Day. Jared Allen's back, so is Kevin Williams, Antoine Winfield, Chad Greenway, the leading tackler for the Minnesota Vikings. He's also in uniform. Jasper Brinkley, the man in the middle, with Aaron Henderson, and Harrison Smith, the rookie from Notre Dame. He gets a start at safety opposite Mistrell Raymond. Chris Cook also starts. He wears number 20. He's a cornerback opposite Antoine Winfield.
Buffalo.
That's Robert Frazier, the replacement referee.
Team timeout of the half.
Each team has taken a timeout so far. The Vikings scored on their first possession of tonight's game. It was Christian Ponder to Jerome Felton. We'll see how the defense responds when we return. This is Minnesota Vikings football. After every game. To find an affiliate near you, log on to Vikings.com. It is second down for the Buffalo Bills. Out of a timeout, Ryan Fitzpatrick, the quarterback, trips left or receiver right. And he'll swing the ball to the left side. It's caught. And it's caught by the tailback. Run down from behind after achieving a first down. Jared Allen, defensively for the Minnesota Vikings. He's in the mix right now. On the play for the Bills was Fred Jackson. That's an 8-yard gain. Jared Allen, 22 sacks last year. Can he duplicate it?
I really think so. And you listen to Jared talk about the offseason and what this preseason and what camp has been all about for him. And it seems he's comfortable with his body. He knows exactly how much he needs and what he needs to do to get better. It's a level of maturity. So, Paul, I expect that same kind of production.
Hand off Fred Jackson on first down. Chad Greenway comes knifing through, and he catches Jackson right at the line of scrimmage. Fred Jackson eventually finished off by several Vikings. It is second down.
I think a couple things we're seeing already tonight is the Buffalo Bills are not just airing it out like they did a week ago. And for Chad Greenway, great job stepping up. The Buffalo Bills are going with this 2 running back system with Fred Jackson and C.J. Spiller back there. So there's no real blocking fullback as the aforementioned C.J. Spiller flexes out as a wide receiver. These guys from Buffalo are very versatile, and now we have to cover them up because Fitzpatrick's going to throw it right here.
Second and 9, Ryan Fitzpatrick, the Harvard kid, in his 8th year, has a single set, hands it to Fred Jackson, who goes around the right side, and there is Mistrell Raymond. What a big play by number 41, trying to win a spot as the safety opposite Harrison Smith. He just caught Fred on a tackle for loss. It's a loss of 2.
And for Mistrell Raymond, I know he wants to make up for what appeared to be a missed tackle last week, but that's just good defense right there. If you notice, 4, 5, 6 purple jerseys getting on C.J. Spiller right away. And this is the kind of defense that they want to have, and Alan Williams is talking about, the ability to close gaps, to wrap people up in the gang tackle.
3rd and 11 for the Bills. Vikes lead 7-0. First quarter from Mall of America Field. Welcome to the simulcast. Play clock down to 2. The Harvard kid takes the snap out of the shotgun, steps up, dumps over the middle, flag on the play, caught by Fred Jackson and stopped post haste. That may be the best series of plays defensively Mr. Raymond has ever had, preseason or regular season. Here's the fill-in, the replacement referee, Robert Fraser, to analyze the infraction.
Holding by the offense, number 77. That penalty is declined. 4th down.
Now, once again, with these replacement refs, Robert Fraser last week worked Denver at Chicago, called a snap infraction on a right guard. Of course, that's supposed to be the center. Issued a 10-yard penalty for defensive holding. That's supposed to be 5 yards.
Yeah, and for the coaching staffs, they're going to have to get in their rule books and not just assume that these officials know what they're doing. So yet another challenge. And again, as these referees work themselves out, I think that everything will get resolved, and we'll have some great officials in here by the beginning of the season.
Brian Moorman with a bad punt. Marcus Sherrill's on the run. Bam! Stuck at the 36-yard line. And a flag comes in. We have a fight emerging on the field. Zach Bowman, the former Bear, trying to mix it up with a member of the Buffalo Bills. 42-yard punt by Brian Moorman. So last week the Vikings had 1 penalty offensively and 1 penalty defensively, which is obviously very good. We have seen markedly more penalties through the first half of the first quarter this evening. With replacement officials, I guess you kind of know, you never know what you're going to get on a weekly basis.
No, you don't. And unfortunately, judging from where the flag was thrown toward midfield, it'll probably going to go against the Minnesota Vikings. So, you know, after the play, at least after the kick, it's still going to be our ball. They're just going to have to move it back.
During the return, illegal block in the back by the kicking team, number 43. 10-yard penalty will be administered from the end of the run. It will be a 1st down.
So the Minnesota Vikings, thanks to a Christian Ponder touchdown pass to Jerome Felton on the first possession of the game, lead 7-0 on the Vikings Entertainment Network. At Vikings.com/UND. Christian Ponder 3 of 3, 55 yards and a touchdown to the up back Jerome Felton on 1st down. Rolls out to the right, fires to the right, and it's caught in Buffalo Bills territory. It is caught by rookie Rhett Ellison, and it'll be a gain of about 8 yards.
Yeah, and you see on the sideline walking back and forth, Adrian Peterson just in a t-shirt. We were kind of hoping, I kind of hope to see him in pads a little bit today, but Adrian Peterson is such a key to have him back at practice this week. I know it's going to provide a spark. We're hoping to see him out here next week against San Diego.
On 2nd and short for the Vikings, leading 7-0 from the Buffalo 46-yard line. Ponder hands it to Toby Gerhart. Sweeps around the left side, trapped and tackled behind the line of scrimmage. And that'll be no gain for Toby Gerhart, corralled by Nick Barnett, the longtime Packer, in his 10th year from Oregon State. Back to Adrian Peterson for a second on the flagship FM 100.3 The Fan and AM 1130 K-Talk. Chatted with head coach Leslie Frazier about the potential of Adrian playing next week. He didn't rule it out, but they're still being very cautious.
Yeah, they're going to have to be. And again, anytime you have an injury like he had, it's going to be day by day, and you don't know when he has these setbacks. You don't know when he wakes up and he feels good, but I expect him to be a little sore after being in pads for the first time in about 6 or 8 months.
So on 3rd down, Ponder out of the shotgun, hit as he runs to the left, dives for the 1st down, and he missed it at the 44-yard line. Mark Anderson, who came into the league with the Chicago Bears, most recently with the New England Patriots, he's the one to bring down Christian Ponder. And when we get to this part of the field, not exactly the 45, this potentially is Blair Walsh territory. If you start getting down around the 38, 39-yard line, they trust this kid to try 58, 59-yard field goals. Not here. They're going to go for it on 4th down. Vikings lead 7-0, 6 minutes to go in the first quarter. Christian Ponder under center. I formation behind him. It's 4th and very short. Preseason home opener from Mall of America Field. Handoff goes to Toby Gerhart, following the blocking of right guard Brandon Fusco. That's a Minnesota Vikings 1st down.
Credit Toby Gerhart for getting that tough 1 or 2 yards on that last play. And he basically dragged the defender, Nick Barnett from Buffalo, over the 1st down. And this is a great defensive line. We're really holding up well up front. And Toby Gerhart grinding out those last couple inches to make sure that there wasn't any question at all about moving the chains. And that for Leslie Frazier, that was a gut check for his offensive line. He challenged them, and they answered it.
Pete Bursich, Paul Allen, Ben Lieber on the simulcast. Greg Coleman handles Leslie Frazier at halftime, and it's first down for the Vikings. Ponder hands to Gerhardt, flips it back to the quarterback, antithetical to Vanilla, and Ponder fires right incomplete, looking for Jerome Simpson. Percy Harvin also in the vicinity. Don't see too many flea flickers in the preseason, do you?
No, you don't, and this is what coaches do. They're going to put these plays in, and they hand off to Gerhardt. Gerhardt stops, turns it around. The guy that wasn't fooled was Chris Kelsey, the veteran, and he's actually a backup here because that's how deep they are on their defensive line. Hands it back, nobody open down, but Jerome Simpson really breaks it off, was open deep, but Ponder doing the smart thing, get rid of it.
How do you think Matt Khalil, the first round pick, played last week?
I thought he played phenomenal. With him being his first game, you didn't notice it. He just did a wonderful job outside.
2nd and 9. Ponder fakes a toss left, rolls out to the right, fires, and it's caught at the 37-yard line. That's Jerome Simpson with a couple of catches. A gain of 4 yards, so that'll make it 3rd and reasonable. Jerome had some drop problems last year with the Bengals. He had a bad drop in the Niners game last week. It's good to see the 4-3 guy coming together sweetly.
No, it really is, especially after what he showed earlier today. But that's just your regular hitch or comeback route, and that up the field speed, it gets respected by the defensive backs. And he kind of turned Aaron Williams around, the DB from Buffalo, a little bit on that last play. So for Jerome, he's coming out and doing tonight, Paul, what we wanted to see him to do, and that's to make a mark, show us something, and show us what we're missing the first 3 weeks of the year.
Vikings are 1 of 2 on 3rd down. Ponder back to pass, fires to the left, caught Jerome Simpson on a cross right to left, and he dives for the first down at the 34-yard line. It's a gain of 6, taken down by Jarris Byrd. The thing about Jerome Simpson is he's going to miss the first 3 games of the season. So you have to keep that in mind. So thus, at training camp, they've been minimizing his reps with the first team to try to get other guys up to speed.
Right, because you need to come out and win those first 3 games. And at the same time, Jerome has come out today, Paul, and he's really fired out of the gate. As you see him sprinting out of the huddle to the line of scrimmage. These routes are changing, a lot more crossing and drag routes because of this man-to-man coverage by Buffalo.
Hand off Gerhardt on first down, runs up the middle, bounces off a Viking across the 30, and he's taken down by the linebacker Moats at the 27-yard line. A run of 7 by Toby Gerhardt. With Adrian Peterson into Toby Gerhardt, when Adrian's up to speed, it can be argued we have the best 1-2 running back punch in the National Football League. Arian Foster and Ben Tate in Houston. That's debatable. Matt Forte into Michael Bush, but Peterson into Gerhardt, that's as good as it gets.
Yeah, and especially the explosiveness of Peterson. I think Toby, he's not the same kind of back, but boy, he's really getting it done today.
Ponder back to pass, dumps over the middle, caught by Toby at the 15. Heads to the left, inside the 10, tackled at the 8. 1st and goal, Vikings. Ponder to Gerhardt, good for 19.
And that's another thing Toby Gerhardt we wanted out of him out of 3rd down, is for him to get up and down the field. He's wide open, beating the linebacker underneath. So that's Toby Gerhardt out there one-on-one, fakes the out route, comes back inside, beats the linebackers clean, gets up to that 2nd level. So Toby, to be respected in this league, to be a 3-down back, he's proven it tonight, Paul, so far that he deserves it.
It's 1st and goal. Handoff Gerhardt trying to finish off the drive. Makes a man miss at the 5, taken down at the 4-yard line. So it'll be 2nd and goal deep in the first quarter. The Vikings went on an 8-play, 80-yard drive to start the game. Took nearly 4 minutes. Christian Ponder hit Jerome Felton for 2 yards. We lead 7-0. How about Christian Ponder? 7 of 8, 92 yards and a score.
That's exact. His percentage tonight is excellent. I think he should have a couple, maybe 1 or 2 more incompletions by just throwing the ball out of the back of the end zone, especially down here in the red zone when there is nothing wide open. But Ponder's been very efficient, very confident tonight. 2nd
and goal. Percy motions behind Ponder, I formation. Christian fakes a handoff, dump left to Red Ellison, and he overthrows Ellison in the back of the end zone. Christian was under duress, 3rd down.
Well, Christian had 2 options in the flat, and that's what a good running game does. It sets up these play actions in the red zone. And really, Christian Ponder had either Rhett Ellison or Kyle Rudolph to throw it to, and I thought he was actually trying to get it to Rhett, who ran the shallow route. It's the classic shallow, flat, and then the deep one in behind him. Both guys wide open, just a little too much pressure in his face. He couldn't quite set his feet after the play action, and that ball just a bit short.
Rookie Jarius Wright, the rookie from Arkansas, is in on 3rd and goal from inside the 5. Minnesota leads by 7. Ponder shotgun, looks left, fade left, back left to the end zone. Incomplete, no flags on the play. Jerome Simpson barking at the side judge, looking for a penalty, but he's not going to get it. Covered sweetly by Stephon Gilmore, a very physical corner. A rookie from South Carolina, taken 10th overall in the most recent draft.
And a couple of things the Bills like are Stephon Gilmore's, speed and his physicality, and we're seeing it right there. Jerome Simpson wanting to get the pass interference call. Perhaps the only pass tonight from Ponder, Paul, that's really been off the target. No one really can catch a ball when it's that far out of bounds. So, a nice start. That last fade, though, not quite what we need.
22-yard try by Blair Walsh is good. The rookie is 3 of 3 this preseason, and he kicks the Minnesota Vikings to a 10-0 lead. Christian Ponder, you mentioned so far, 7 of 10, 92 yards with a touchdown. So a great start for Christian, but like last week, could not cap the drive with a touchdown.
Yeah, and so it's a little bit reminiscent, but I think the difference, Paul, is when our running game is moving the chains and getting 10, 12 yards a clip, a guy like Toby Gerhart, finding ways to get him free out of the backfield, down the middle of the field, those play action passes, they work so much better. That should have been a touchdown drive. We had 2 tight ends. We had Red Ellison wide open on the outside, so the possibilities are there. We're getting closer. Ponder just has to set his feet a little better. We can get that done by next week.
Hey, Peter, let's take a peek at the Dairy Queen trivia question this evening. The answer comes up a little later. Which Vikings Hall of Famer was drafted by the Buffalo Bills? Okay.
Wow. You have to give me a cup.
Dairy Queen featuring the DQ cheeseburger lovers deal. So good, it's ridiculous. Just like the Vikings offense so far. We have at least 8 first downs compared to 1 for Buffalo. And there's Blair Walsh's line drive kick. Bounces at the 15. Surprised he did that when he can kick it out of the back of the end zone. And the ball is returned to the 20. Couple of missed tackles at the 25. And the returner is taken down at the 29-yard line. It's a return of 31 yards. Vikings lead by 10. Here's sideline analyst Ben Lieber with a game changer.
What's happening, guys? I got Adrian Peterson down here. And Adrian, I got to ask you, I've seen you at training camp. I've seen you around. You're always in your street clothes. What are you doing, man? Are you going to play this year or what?
I was thinking about just sitting this year out and just, making sure I get a full recovery. No, but I just been relaxing, man. Just rehabbing this knee, trying to get back on the field as fast as possible.
Well, talking about your recovery, what is it that you've done? I mean, you've come back from an ACL and MCL surgery faster than I've ever seen anybody come back from. What do you attribute that to? And can you give some secrets, a little trade secrets for anybody out there that's coming off from ACL?
The secret is just have faith, man. Have faith, but you got to put work in too. I've been surrounded by a good staff with Eric Sugarman down in Houston. Those guys really been pushing me, and just mentally, I just been grinding each and every day, making the best out of it.
How excited are you for the start of the season? I know you're probably going to get some limited reps. You're probably not happy about that, but how excited are you to be back on the field? Probably take more reps next week in practice, and as you get ready for the opening season, how excited are you?
I'm extremely excited, man. It's been a long time, waiting since December, and my vision is getting closer. So all the hard work I'll put into it, just keep my eye on that goal. And it's right around the corner, so I'm excited. I can feel the energy out here. I'm not suited up or anything, but I can feel the energy like I want to go out and get involved right now.
Well, hopefully standing this close to you, you can rub off like a little osmosis and I can get some of your healing powers. But all right, guys, back to you.
Thanks, Ben. Good luck, Adrian. I expect Adrian to play in the season opener against Jacksonville. We'll chat more about that with Rick Spielman, the general manager for the Vikings. He'll be up here in the booth with us during the third quarter. While you were gone, those on the simulcast, a 3-yard game by the Bills. Kevin Williams just made a tremendous play in the backfield, forcing C.J. Spiller to change his angle. Kevin Williams didn't play last week. He's the longest tenured Viking. He's very important to success this year.
Yeah, he really is. And he was the guy who penetrated on that play to cause all that just a discombobulated offensive line of the Buffalo Bills. They had nowhere to go. So anytime you can get those tackles for losses, that's a huge key. Everson Griffin and Paul on the rushing defense. He's out away from linebacker, back at defensive line.
Trips left, 2 receivers right. Ryan Fitzpatrick goes empty out of the shotgun. The Vikings blitz. Fitzpatrick fires right. Ball swatted away at the line of scrimmage. Brian Robinson along with Harrison Smith, the rookie from Notre Dame, got his first start tonight. He's the one to knock the ball away. The kid made a play.
This is exactly what we brought him in for, to be an aggressive up the field blitz. No disguise, just turning it 0 to 60, and Fitzpatrick, not being that tall, had nowhere to go. So for Harrison Smith, Paul, tonight when you look at this club, you see two players that needed to make plays tonight. They already have Harrison Smith, Jerome Simpson. That last play, Harrison, nice to bat that thing down, intercepted for a touchdown, but you know what? We'll wait a week for that.
Here's rookie Josh Robinson making his Vikings debut, fields the punt at the 28 far side, makes a guy miss trying to get loose and show us that 4-3, but the third rounder from Central Florida is taken down at the 32-yard line. A 48-yard punt by Brian Moorman, and Josh Robinson battling a nagging hamstring injury all preseason. Very, very excited to get a crack at action tonight. He declared for the National Football League draft following his junior season. Christian Ponder heads out on the field. He's led the Vikings to a couple of scoring drives. Christian is 7 of 10 for 92 yards. The touchdown went to Jerome Felton. And regarding game action for Christian, I would imagine he'll probably come out for one more series after this, but really he's kind of shown enough so far.
Yeah, you have seen quite a bit, Paul, and he's continuing to get better. But for the coaching staff, they're protecting him pretty well. He's not getting beat up. You know, go ahead and let him get out there and get the flow of the game. Let's see what else he can do.
It's 1st and 10 Vikings from their own 33-yard line. Stephen Burton in motion to the right. Ponder hands the ball off to Lex Hilliard. Flag on the play deep in the first quarter with 2 seconds to go. In the first quarter, a gain of 1 yard. A lot of flags in the first quarter. Robert Frazier and his staff assessing the penalties this evening for the replacement referees. You know, Bernie Kukar, one of the more well-respected referees in the history of the National Football League, the Edina native, he sits in the Vikings coaches booth and watches games with the coaches in the preseason.
Holding by the offense, number 63. 10-yard penalty, repeat, first down.
To kind of help them get a handle on the way things are going with these replacement refs, had him on my radio show earlier today at FM 100.3 The Fan, podcastable at KFAN.com. And he was talking about the way things are working out with the replacement refs. We maybe can get into that a little more later with Rick Spielman, who will join us in the third quarter. Christian Ponder threw a touchdown pass to Jerome Felton, and Blair Walsh remained perfect in the preseason. The Vikings lead the Bills 10-0 on the Vikings Entertainment Network. Preseason home opener for your Minnesota Vikings. And the Vikings lead the Bills 10-0. Here is the Winfield draft pick breakdown. It's that guy, Harrison Smith. Pete?
Yeah, Harrison Smith, the safety out of Notre Dame, drafted 29th overall. And we remember that the Vikings traded another draft pick to get up to get him. But and when you get a chance to see him when he blitzes, just does a phenomenal job of selling it, not showing it. But when he gets going and gets going forward, he does. It goes from 0 to 60 very quickly.
Draft pick breakdown presented by Winfield, uncovering insights through data to help farmers be greater. Vikings ball in the second quarter. Ponder back to pass, dump over the middle, caught Kyle Rudolph. Get used to that. It'll be a common thread all season. And he's taken down in between the hash marks at the 30 after a gain of 7. Harrison Smith is incredibly versatile. He started his career at Notre Dame as an outside linebacker, and as a safety, he was also a very, very sure tackler. But the thing about Harrison, when he was a high school football player in Tennessee, he was a tailback, and he was the Mr. Tennessee tailback in his senior season, running for 1,900 yards. The Vikings also were able to get more intel on him, Pete, by having him on their Senior Bowl squad when they were in Mobile, Alabama. Really got a good chance to learn him, figure out what kind of a kid he was.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, the position flexibility, those are the kinds of things that the New England Patriots, guys like Bill Belichick, really love to see. And as we see Kyle Rudolph coming off the field, looks a little dinged up. We'll get a report on that pretty quickly. I think it might be no good. He looks a little bit dazed and confused to me right now. But Harrison Smith knows the game of football because he's played about every position that there is. And again, sky's the limit with this kid, and we all have high expectations.
2nd and 13. Ponder back to pass, airs one deep on a fade right side in front of the Bills bench. Caught Michael Jenkins, first down at the 35-yard line. Excellent activity by Jenkins next to the boundary. Excellent body control, 35-yard gain.
And even more impressive, Paul, in tight coverage. Aaron Williams is all over Michael Jenkins, and Ponder, he turns that cannon into a mortar and just drops the ball behind the shoulder of the defender, Aaron Williams. And with that height advantage, he knows that's exactly where he has to put it because Michael Jenkins isn't going to outrun him. Beautiful throw by Christian Ponder.
Vikings lead the Bills 10-0. Ponder once more. Back to pass. Avoids the rush. He sprints to the 35, and he's tripped up at the 34-yard line. Tripped up very coyly by Kirk Morrison, an 8th-year linebacker from San Diego State. It's a gain of 2 yards. And it'll present second down for the Vikings. Christian so far 9 of 12, 134 yards and a touchdown. There you see Bill Musgrave on the simulcast, second-year offensive coordinator for the Vikings.
Yeah, Bill Musgrave, he's always serious, but you know he has to be smiling on the inside after he's had a chance to see what Christian Ponder is capable of.
2nd and 8, Ponder under center. Starting offensive line still in. Handoff goes to Lex Hilliard, the backup running back. He tries to knife his way through the line to the left side, and he's tackled by former Vikings Spencer Johnson. In his 9th year from Auburn, Spencer was on the Vikings when Pete Bursich was linebackers coach on Mike Tice's staff.
And Spencer Johnson was really one of our favorites. Ted Cottrell spent a lot of time with Spencer, and he's one of those kind of guys that he's a lunch pail guy. Now he's put on about 20 or 30 pounds since we've had him, but he's out there grinding it out. A very, very intelligent player, and I think that's what he brings to the table.
Ponder out of the shotgun on 3rd and 8. 2 receivers right, 1 left. Takes the snap. It's high. Bills rush 5. Dump left. Caught by Hilliard at the 32. He's not going to get a first down, but that's okay, because this will pave the way for a long Blair Walsh field goal opportunity. In fact, it'll be about 50 yards. He's 3 of 3 in the preseason, and for a team like the Minnesota Vikings, to a certain extent constructed to play in close games, beat teams down with the running game and try to beat them late, Blair Walsh's success this year, very important to the success of the Minnesota Vikings. This is a 49-yard try, left hash. Colin Loeffler's the long snapper. Chris Kluwe holds. Snap, low, spot down, right-footed kick with a ton of leg, and it is no good. That's his first miss of the preseason. Blair Walsh missed it to the right. So the Minnesota Vikings lead the Buffalo Bills 10-0, 12:04 to go in the first half. Via the simulcast, it's the Vikings Entertainment Network. Vikings lead the Bills 10-0. Here's the Minnesota College Savings Plan Spotlight. It's one of our best players. It's Antoine Winfield.
And I remember when Antoine came out, I was on the staff as well, and we rescued him from going to the New York Jets. I'm sure he's happier to be up here in the Twin Cities. And you take a look at Antoine's body of work, his 9th season here with the Vikings, 103 games, the 18 interceptions, the 620-plus tackles. And those tackles aren't just your drag them down by the ankles. Antoine could step up and hit somebody. And you don't count the quarterbacks on this team, Paul. He's 4 years older than the next youngest guy on this team, and that's Kevin Williams. So he's definitely the grandpa out there.
Ryan Fitzpatrick still in for the Bills. Handoff goes to C.J. Spiller to the left side. He's run down by Jasper Brinkley. By the way, the Winfield Player Spotlight provided by the Minnesota College Savings Plan. You can get there. We can help. Go to mnsaves.org. Here's Ben Lieber on the sidelines.
All right, thanks, guys. Down here right now, I've got Jumpin' Jerome Simpson. I don't know. I'm just going to throw that out there. You don't have to call yourself Jumpin' Jerome, but what is it about jumping and hurdling people that you enjoy?
It's just part of my game. Just to try to make a play whenever I can and try to score. And, the play could have been a lot better if I would have scored, but I just want to just make plays for my team.
So walk us through some of those plays. Obviously, last year you had the highlight reel where you flipped over the guy, outstanding athleticism. But what is it about those plays? And talk us through when you're running. Is it something is it reactionary? Are you thinking about it beforehand? Because you're doing it on full speed, a full speed stride, which I think is very impressive.
Yeah, it's just reaction. Just like I said, just going back to just trying to make plays. And I'm just using what God just blessed me with, and that's just jumping. And I'm going to keep it in my game.
Well, I'm just going to call you for this interview. I'll call you Jumpin' Jerome, but is that all right?
Yeah, that's cool.
All right, thanks a lot, man. I hope to see more of that during the season. And guys, we have an injury update. Kyle Rudolph, not sure if he's out, but he's getting tended by the training staff, Eric Sugarman. It seems like he has a little bit of an owie behind his ear. Don't know if he's going to be out for the game, but I think they put a door Band-Aid on, and he's good to go.
Thanks, Ben. Good work. Kyle Rudolph's evening most likely done. Bills ball, 1st and 10, flags. And the play stops with 10:44 to go in the first half.
False start. Number 77 offense. 5-yard penalty. Still first down.
I want to go back to Kyle Rudolph for a second. Out of Notre Dame as a second-round selection, he had a hamstring injury. And I think he tweaked that hamstring last year at somewhere during the season. So as the coaches say, he was rounding off his routes too much and just was not as sharp as they expected him to be. An entire offseason to rehab it. And he's looked unbelievably good during training camp. There are times that he's looked unguardable.
Yeah, he's that underneath kind of, he has that size and that rare mobility. And you're right, Paul, that torn hamstring, which he had to have surgically repaired, it took him a little bit longer, I think, than he realized to come back from it. A long injury, but he worked his way through it. He busted himself through a very, very tough rookie year, mentally and physically.
1st and 15, Fitzpatrick back to pass. Pass is complete. The receiver is popped. Ball pops out, and I believe it's recovered by the Buffalo Bills. And a member of the Vikings defense, Chris Cook, is a little slow to get up. Chris Cook is the one who put the big hit on the receiver, Steve Johnson, fifth-year guy from Kentucky. Chris is going to tap himself out. Speaking of out for the Vikings defense, after a couple of series, Jared Allen, Kevin Williams, and Antoine Winfield are out. And this is not good news for Chris Cook. He walked about 10 yards, went down to a knee, couldn't even leave the field on his own power.
Well, we'll have to take another look and see what the contact was, because there were, again, a hustling Minnesota Viking defense. Every time someone catches a football, you have 3 or 4 defenders around him. Now, Cook is coming from behind, and really I think it's his own defender that steps up and knocks the ball loose.
10-0 Vikings. Chris Cook now walks off the field on his own. This is Minnesota Vikings football. For Minnesota Vikings football. Vikings lead the Bills 10-0. Coming up at halftime, we'll show you some exclusive access into Chris Dolman's induction into the Pro Football Hall of Fame as shown by the new Vikings documentary show, The Vikumentary Beyond the Gridiron, Saturdays at noon on KARE 11. Rookie Josh Robinson's in the game. More on him momentarily. Fitzpatrick hands the ball up to Fred Jackson, loose on the left side. Across the 40 to the 35. Stiff arms Vikings down to the 25. And that will be a first down. Josh Robinson, rookie third-round pick from Central Florida. Very important to the success of the Vikings this year. In my opinion, he was selected 66th overall. He declared for the NFL draft following his junior season. Is the first UCF, Central Florida player drafted by the Vikings since Dante Culpepper in 1999. Started 35 of his 38 games played, and his 4.3 time at the Combine, the fastest of any player at the Combine this year. He's going to get an opportunity to win a spot with the Minnesota Vikings. Hopefully he performs well tonight, overcoming that hamstring injury that has hampered him all of preseason. Fitzpatrick out of the shotgun on first down. Vikes lead by 10. Delay a game, Bills.
Delay game by the offense, number 14. 5-yard penalty. Still first down.
Once again this year, we are privileged to bring you Vikings football with a Vikings perspective via the simulcast. You're watching us right now. Pete Bursich, Paul Allen, Ben Lieber, and Greg Coleman on the sidelines. You can also listen to it on the flagship stations. We have the FM and AM frequencies covered. News Talk AM 1130 on the AM side, and the flagship home for the Vikings on the FM side is 100.3 KFAN. 9 minutes to go in the first half. Ryan Fitzpatrick under center, zips it over the middle, and it's caught for a Bills first down, and bouncing off Chris Carr and diving for a Buffalo Bills touchdown. Very nice play. It's Donald Jones, and the Bills have scored. It's a 31-yard strike. Missed tackle by Chris Carr.
Oh, no question about it. That's what allowed to extend the play. The Vikings showing some aggression, showing that 8-man box, and Fitzpatrick does a very nice job of finding the wide open wide receiver off the play fake, throws it on the inside slant, and this is the kind of tackle right there you have to make. So for Chris Carr, gives up a touchdown a week ago against San Francisco, comes back tonight and misses a key tackle. And for a guy like Carr, a veteran who needs to come in here and do things the right way, he's going to have a tough time, especially with guys like Robinson and Cook and Antoine Winfield and Zach Bauman. I mean, the list goes on and on. So for Carr, pretty rough preseason, I think, so far.
It is fair to note the Bills' first offense is operating against a majority of the Vikings' second defense. Jared Allen, Kevin Williams, Antoine Winfield out of the game. However, Jasper Brinkley, the middle linebacker, our man in the middle this year, he's still in the game. I believe Chad Greenway is, Harrison Smith is. So the Bills are able to go on a 5-play, 61-yard drive. Took 3 minutes and change. Fitzpatrick with a 31-yard touchdown pass. And the extra point is good. 8:51 to go in the first half. The Vikings lead the Buffalo Bills 10-7. In simulcast fashion, this is Minnesota Vikings football. Minnesota Vikings, the Chargers are in town next Friday. 10-7 Vikings. Bills just scored. Get your 2012 Vikings yearbook complete with an exclusive story on All-Pro Jared Allen, in-depth team analysis, and more. Vikings yearbook available now at Vikings.com. Nice drive by the Buffalo Bills. I like Ryan Fitzpatrick. He had a couple of broken ribs last year, and thus his touchdown to interception ratio was basically flat. Smart kid from Harvard. Nice arm, quick release. We just kind of saw it there, Pete.
Yeah, you're right, and that's the thing. You mentioned the interceptions. He's had 38 over the last 2 years, and you know, like this Buffalo offense, he's a 7th-round pick by the Rams, and now he's contributing as a starter. You know, he's a good player.
Vikings ball, 10-7 Vikings in the second quarter on the Vikings Entertainment Network. Minneapolis, Mall of America Field, second quarter action. Vikings lead the Bills 10-7. Joe Webb's in the game. Christian Ponder finishes 10 of 13, 136 yards and a touchdown. Joe Webb takes the snap, hands the ball off to Lex Hilliard, who goes up the middle. That'll be a tackle for loss, and that'll be a loss of a couple of yards. Our man in the middle, one of the better centers in the NFL, is John Sullivan with Ben Lieber.
Yeah, that's right, guys. We got center extraordinaire John Sullivan. Now, John, you guys had a solid start last week with Sam Fran. A very solid start this week. How did you see it from the trenches, and what can you give us from this game?
You know, like you said, we take away 2 positives. Preseason, obviously the games don't count for your record, but you want to come out here, you want to start fast. You know, and for us it all starts with our quarterback. Christian's done a great job so far. Hitting a couple, quick routes on that first series, getting us down the field. You know as a player, when you can get chunks, it helps you score points. So great start by the offense.
Well, a lot of that success from Christian is you guys up front. You guys are protecting very well, it seems like. How do you see the line coming together, the experience? You're the older of the guy, the leader up front. How do you see the whole line coming together?
I think we're progressing well. There will be some corrections from this tape. I got caught in a bull rush on that first series. Kind of got pushed into Christian's lap. But, playing offensive line is fluid. You're constantly working on your game. Jeff Davidson, Ryan Silverfield have done a great job. We're trying to embrace their coaching. And, they're putting us in a position to play well. So, it's easy when your quarterback's playing well to do well to protect him.
We go back upstairs. Thanks, John.
Oh, there goes Joe Webb in front of the Bills bench across the 50 to the 40. It's a 51-yard run by Joe Webb, by far his best play of the preseason. We thank Ben Lieber, and good job as usual with John Sullivan. Look at Joe Webb go, Peter.
Now, all he needs is that little bit of an opening, but it's a down the field move and great blocking down the field by the wide receiver. It was Stephen Burton making a big play, making these key blocks down the field. And, Joe Webb, he goes from quarterback to running back very, very quickly. And, this is another side story tonight. Joe Webb, Sage Rosenfels, who's going to be the backup? Joe Webb just showed us what he can do.
Joe ran for 109 at Detroit last year. Now he goes back to pass, floats one left, leaves Red Ellison hung out to dry. Incomplete pass at the 39. Welcome to the world of Joe Webb, backup quarterback for the Minnesota Vikings. He'll dazzle you with that 51-yard run, set a Vikings record for a quarterback with that buck-9 at Detroit December of last year, but then he'll get confused and leave a receiver, or a tight end in that case, hanging out to dry. It frustrates Leslie Frazier.
Yeah, it does. And as soon as, and this is the defense, this is Dave Wanstead playing to an athletic quarterback. Blitzers off the Joe in the pocket. It worked on that last play. Joe just stood up and tried to deliver the ball the best he could.
2nd and 10, handoff Lex Hilliard, spurts to the left side across the 35, taken down at the 37-yard gain. Joe bumped Lex right as he handed the ball off to him. Lex Hilliard played extensively last week against the Niners, carried the ball 4 times for 12 yards. the backup running back situation, it's intriguing in that, it's Peterson into Gerhardt, but then after that, Jordan Todman has not been able to play. He's very fast. He's injured. Lex Hilliard is getting his reps. We'll see Derek Coleman, an undrafted kid from UCLA later, but that third running back spot very wide open. 3rd and 3. Webb out of the shotgun. Vikes lead 10-7. Joe fires left, caught Hilliard shy of the first down at the 29, gain of 1. And now Blair Walsh, who missed his first kick of the preseason earlier. He missed a 49-yard field goal. It's fair to note for Blair, the Leffler snap to Kluwe was low. I think it threw the kid off.
Yeah, it may have, but he's going to have to learn how to fight through those things. And this is going to happen. You're going to have your bad snaps and no excuses though. He's got to get it up through the uprights.
47-yard try, left hash, perfect snap, spots down, kick with plenty of leg, and this one is good. So Blair Walsh is 2 of 3 this evening. And 4 of 5 overall. Perfect snap by Colin Leffler. Chris Kluwe put it down. And the rookie 6th-round pick from Georgia did what he does. He booted it through the uprights. And he kicks the Minnesota Vikings to a 13-7 lead. Pretty nice kick, Pete.
Yeah, and so much of that position, Paul, is mental. And for Blair Walsh to end the last series with a miss and to come back, and you can see it on the look of Leslie Frazier's face as we get a look at the replay. He loves to see his young guy come back like that. Blair Walsh, I mean, again, a little off snap. Maybe things are a little off. It may have thrown him off a little bit. If you're a competitor, if you're the kind of guy that you need, let's say as a coach you want to know what kind of guy you have, they know that Blair Walsh is go out there and miss one. Got the opportunity to come back not too much longer, not too much later, and put one through the upright. So the kid rebounded nicely. Now, let's see how he does on a kickoff. The last one, a line drive up the middle. I don't think that was by design. I just don't think that line drive kick up the middle is in our playbook anymore.
He had to have missed it.
Yeah, so then you see a missed kickoff, you see a missed field goal. Now he's back in the rhythm. Let's see if he can kick this one out of the back of the end zone and have some momentum.
Marcus Easley and TJ Graham deep for the Bills. There's Blair Walsh's kick. And that is a big one, 5 yards deep. And the returner easily brings it out to the 5 to the 10, and he's taken down at the 12-yard line. Excellent open field tackle on special teams, trying to win a job with the Minnesota Vikings. His backup linebacker Tyrone McKenzie, 17-yard return. Let's go to the Dairy Queen trivia and realize Pete Bursich and yours truly have been stumped 2 consecutive weeks. Last week it was some USC question. We got like 3/5 of it. Which Vikings player came into the league with the Buffalo Bills? Carl Eller, a good one. 1964, 5th overall pick in the AFL. Vikings 6th overall pick in the NFL.
Now,
that's the oldest trick in the book. That's not fair.
Yeah, that isn't fair. I worked with Carl Eller's son Regis, who's an assistant of mine, and he's working with the Chargers program now. And Carl Eller, you ask any former Viking, Carl Eller is one of the toughest men to ever walk the face of this earth.
Fitzpatrick's still in, so is Fred Jackson. Swing right, Fred Jackson caught at the 15 and stopped by Mr. L. Raymond. Jasper Brinkley still in. Larry Dean, special teamer for the Vikings last year. He's in a linebacker. Everson Griffin, he's in on the defensive line. From a starting standpoint, Aaron Henderson along with Harrison Smith, Jasper Brinkley, and Mistral Raymond still in the game for the Vikings in the second quarter. How do we read into that?
Well, those are the guys that need to log some hours, behind the wheel. And Brian Robinson out there as well. So for Harrison Smith, this is his rookie season. He's going to get more snaps this year early on. Same thing with Jasper Brinkley. These guys have to know that they're going to have to play a lot before this preseason's over.
2nd and 6, handoff. Jackson tries to swing around the right side, and he'll run for a Bills first down. Speaking of Carl Eller, take a peek at this. Carl Eller, one of the great defensive linemen in the history of the National Football League, part of the Purple People Eaters. We have a pretty good defensive line here now, but back with Eller and Marshall and Larson and Page and so on. Definitely one of the best defensive lines in the history of the NFL. Carl Eller, part of the Minnesota Vikings Ring of Fame. And our defensive line here helped the Vikings amass 50 sacks last year. Bills ball, 4.5 minutes to go in the first quarter. Fitzpatrick tries to set up a screen to the left side, and Aaron Henderson says no. Outside linebacker able to trap Fred Jackson behind the line of scrimmage. Tackle for loss of 6. Important play for the future of the Vikings. Aaron Henderson had 70 tackles last year. He's a starter on the outside on a 1-year deal.
Yeah, he's another one of these guys that we wanted to see something out of. So for Aaron, that is a key play. We've seen Harrison Smith make a key play. Antoine Winfield's back makes a big play. You know, you can go through. Kevin Williams shoots into the backfield, tackle for loss. You know, when you sit there and say we're missing these guys, or these guys aren't showing up a week ago, now they show up today, it gives some credence to the fact that our defensive line and these young guys are looking better and better. Speaking of young guys, Mr. Raymond.
Yep, 2nd and 15. Fitzpatrick fired between the hash marks at the 26. Raymond knocked it away. Mr. O. Raymond started as the safety next to Harrison Smith. In fact, both our starting safeties are still in. Raymond has had a wonderful game, and that safety spot next to Harrison's open. Mr. L's trying to close it.
He really is, and one of the things you've seen out of Mr. L today is a lot of fist pumping, a lot of that passion, a lot of that excitement, because he knows Jamarcus Sanford was there last week. He's got a new guy next to him this week. Hey, he could be the one out next week. So he's out there putting on a show.
And it's fair to note the Bills' first offense is in against the Vikings' second defense, or at least most of it, as Fitzpatrick fades to fire, zips it left, incomplete. The ball was tipped away by Josh Robinson, the speedster from Central Florida, getting his first action tonight. 13-7 Vikings, 3.5 minutes to go in the first half via the simulcast. Josh Robinson, sweet play.
Now, in this cover 2 scheme, he funnels the outside receiver inside and continues to drop and read the quarterback. So from a fundamental technique standpoint, it couldn't have looked any prettier than that. But for Josh Robinson, those opportunities don't come by too often. You have to come up with the interception.
Harrison Smith with a big hit at the end. Brian Walter set to retrieve the punt, bounces off his feet, but bounces out of bounds at about the 35-yard line. That was key right there. A couple of rookies. Rick Spielman, general manager for the Vikings, in the booth with us for the third quarter. Harrison Smith gets his first start tonight. Josh Robinson makes his preseason debut. Those players are the future of Minnesota Vikings football.
No question about it. And you look at someone like Josh Robinson, and where else can he help? I know he's out there returning punts, and that's one key aspect of this Viking team and the special teams return game. Kickoff return last year, as a team, they finished very, very high. A lot of it due to Percy Harvin and his intermittent kickoff returns, but punt return is an area, Paul, where I think this team needs to improve. And if you can get someone like a Josh Robinson to play sparingly on defense, but have him come into an impact position like punt return, it's going to be huge.
Joe Webb under center, 3:21 to go in the first half. Vikings lead 13-7. Ponder to Felton, the only touchdown for us. As Webb goes back to pass, he'll loop it left side. Devin Aromashadu caught it at the 20, but he's out of bounds. Devin Aromashadu with some of that speed on the outside. The former Bear, 2nd and 10. When Devin played for the Chicago Bears, I'll never forget the evening. Late in the 2009 season, it's overtime, and he puts a double move on Antoine Winfield. They beat us in overtime. Those are the kind of moves Devin can give you. But, you know, Devin not only is trying to win a spot on the team, but help the Vikings with some depth outside the numbers as speedy receivers go. Webb is 2 of 4 for 4 yards. Does have a 41-yard run. Power eye behind Webb on 2nd and 10. And Joe goes play action, 7-step drop, looks deep center of the field, and it's caught by Stephen Burton at the 30. He dropped the ball, and it's recovered by the Buffalo Bills at the 32-yard line. Stephen Burton, 2nd year West Texas A&M. He got careless with the ball. Delano Howell, a rookie from Stanford, able to recover the Stephen Burton fumble. Leotis McKelvin in his 5th year from Troy, the 4th cornerback for the Bills, the one to knock it away from Burton. Good times, bad times for Stephen. Had a 52-yard reception last week, but this week he had this.
And it's basically never really, I don't think, had tucked the ball away solidly. Tried to switch it, caught it and put it in his right hand, and tried to switch it into his left hand. And you know, for anybody, that's a no-no. You never, the old saying, you never change horses midstream. Yeah. That's exactly the case with Stephen Burton. You catch the ball, you tuck away in your right hand, you got to keep it there. Those are the kinds of mistakes that happen. So for Stephen, he's done some really nice things, Paul. He's made some nice catches, some nice plays. He still has a little way to go, but that's what the preseason is for.
Vince Young, backup quarterback for the Buffalo Bills in the game, and he fires it over the middle, caught at the 35 for a gain of 2. Vince Young battling former Viking Tyler Thigpen for the backup duties to Ryan Fitzpatrick, 7th year from Texas. Vince Young, a Houston native, formerly with the Tennessee Titans. Vince Young battling Tyler Thigpen, who was a 7th-round pick. We'll see and hear from him later. The Vikings were very impressed with him in 2007, exposed him to the practice squad. Kansas City plucked him off that practice squad, and Tashard Choice now is in the game for the Buffalo Bills. Vikings have 238 yards of offense compared to just 84 for Buffalo. 2nd down, 2nd and 8. Handoff to Tashard Choice, weaves his way through the line of scrimmage. Absorbs a big hit but holds on to the ball by Marvin Mitchell, 6th year from Tennessee. That's a gain of 5 as we approach the 2-minute warning.
And for Marvin Mitchell, another big play. I mean, there's opportunity on this team. We talk about opportunity abounds. Marvin Mitchell wants to get up there and become a starter.
Bills ball, Vikings lead 13-7. Christian Ponder looked good when he was in. You're listening and watching it on the Vikings Entertainment Network. Rooting on their favorite team, the Minnesota Vikings. 13-7 Vikes over the Bills. It's time for the Tria rookie profile. The rookie, Audie Cole, packs a punch. He was a Golden Gloves boxer as a youth.
Yeah, Audie Cole had a nice week last week with a big sack, a couple nice plays in the open field. The thing for Audie Cole is whether or not the Vikings keep 6 or 7 linebackers on the roster, because if they keep 6, he may get caught in that numbers game. But I expect him to make this club, whether it be as a backup and a special teams player or on the practice squad. We haven't seen the last of him.
Tria, the official team physicians of the Minnesota Vikings, provided the rookie profile. Vince Young completed a pass over the middle, and it was stopped by the Vikings right around the 1st down marker. It's going to be a 1st down. Quick reset of some players in defensively for us now. All of the starters are out of the game except for Jasper Brinkley, the middle linebacker. Actually, Harrison Smith still in the game. Jamarcus Sanford in as a safety next to Harrison Smith. So Harrison, the rookie, gets his first start tonight. Flags all over the place. And Jasper Brinkley, he's going to play up to halftime as our middle linebacker.
Yeah, Jasper getting all the snaps that he needs. And I think, you know, as what we saw and assumed last week, with some fits up front that needed some work, I think this is validating our concerns. And Jasper needs to get all those snaps. So, you know, again, I guess take a second here, Paul, to talk about the officials. They had an illegal substitution.
Neutral zone infraction by the defense, number 91. That'll be a 5-yard penalty. Still 1st down.
It looked to me as if they had an illegal substitution. They had one of their wide receivers who came off the sideline, David Clowney, never got past the numbers and in by the hash mark where you have to be. He just kind of jumped off the sideline and on the field, and the referees didn't see it.
13-7 Vikings, 1:20 and counting to go in the 1st half. Via simulcast, Pete Bursich, Paul Allen, Ben Lieber on the sidelines. Vince Young out of the shotgun, zips it over the middle, nearly intercepted. Jamarcus Sanford did that several times last year. Right place, couldn't close on it. Members of the Jamarcus Sanford fan club sitting at the 30-yard line behind the Vikings bench, led by Lori Livingston. Jamarcus needs to close on that, doesn't he?
Yeah, he just needs to close the deal. Great anticipation, way to get out there in front. And this is what we saw last year. We didn't see that productivity from our safeties in the form of interceptions. Now, they got there. He's getting there. You just have to make those plays. The ball's not going to hit you in the hands too often, Jamarcus. You got to make that catch. That's 2 interceptions that the Vikings should have already tonight.
2nd and 5 for the Bills. Receiver motions over to the left. Vince Young out of the shotgun. He's going to fade left. Man gets loose behind Josh Robinson, but it's incomplete. The rookie Josh Robinson may have bit on a double move there. Derek Hagan, a 7th-year receiver from Arizona State. He got a step on our kid, but Vince Young could not close on the deal. 3rd and 5.
And this is why coaches love speed, because this is makeup speed. He gets up there, does get caught up in a double move, but watch him. He just closes so quickly. You can't coach speed. It's hard to make guys faster. So for Josh Robinson, his physical ability lets him get away with some mistakes that slower corners can't make.
3rd and 5 for the Bills, trailing by 6 in front of halftime. Vince Young spelled at Ryan Fitzpatrick, goes back to pass, slings it to the left, and it's caught by one of the backup tailbacks in Vikings territory. On the reception was Tashard Choice, 5th year from Georgia Tech. a former member of the Dallas Cowboys, shy of the first down. Tashard Choice came into college football at the University of Oklahoma. And at Oklahoma, he had a problem. He backed up Adrian Peterson. So he said, I don't think this is going to work. He transferred to Georgia Tech, found his way into the National Football League with the Cowboys. Now he's balling with the Bills. 13-7 Vikings lead. It is 4th and 3 for the Bills. They scrimmage from the top of the logo midfield. Vince Young takes the snap, blitzes on, and he is nearly sacked. Dumps it left, incomplete. Excellent rush applied by the Minnesota Vikings defense, led by DeAndre Reed in his first full year from Arizona. The Vikings turn over the Bills, and with a couple of timeouts, we have 57 seconds to try to score.
Well, you know, Buffalo pulled out the no-huddle offense, and it looks like the Vikings were prepared. As you see, Jasper Brinkley comes right off the edge, misses the quarterback, but it was DeAndre Reed who steps up. And DeAndre, what an impressive man right there, moving the left guard and still having the strength to grab Vince Young, almost sacking him.
Yeah.
But allowing Vince Young to get absolutely nothing on that pass outside. So great execution by the Viking defense. When the Vikings have blitzed so far this preseason, Paul, they've done a lot of really nice things. That's 2 blitzes in a row. Got the Viking offense back on the field. Nice job.
Here's Joe Webb out of the shotgun. Steps up. Floats out to the right, makes a man miss, sprints to the 50, gets farther out to the right. Look at Joe Webb go. Inside the 30, taken down at the 27. Joe Webb playing with some confidence tonight, certainly more than he had last week at San Francisco. That's a 23-yard run. Joe Webb extremely shifty, Pete.
Well, and Joe Webb having to step up and having nowhere to go, nowhere to throw again down the field. And the difference, I think, Paul, is you saw last week with the San Francisco defense that could really run. The Bills not so fleet of foot. And once you get in that second and third level, and Joe is just making a mess of them up and down the field. That's what we'd love to see Joe do. We've seen him do that well. We just have to see him have a better pocket presence.
2 runs, 64 yards. Webb out of the shotgun. Short hops it left. We saw that far too frequently last year from Donovan McNabb. Don't want to see it again. Kind of looks like Tsuyoshi Nishioka short hopping Justin Morneau with the Twins. Nevertheless, incomplete pass, 2nd and 10. Hey, a couple of outstanding features coming your way. One at halftime, we have a new Vikumentary. It's a documentary called Beyond the Gridiron. The Vikings Entertainment Network produces it. We're very proud of it. It features Chris Dolman at halftime, then general manager Rick Spielman. He'll be up in the booth for the 3rd quarter. Joe Webb, back to pass, fade, Aromashadu, inside the 5, incomplete left side. Could not haul it in at the 4-yard line. Couple of plays by the boundary near side for Devin Aromashadu. He's 0 for 2. He's Devin Aromashadu 0 for 2. And with 37 seconds to go in the first half, the Vikings lead 13-7.
And this is a ball that on second look probably should have been caught maybe a little bit too far to the outside. Aromashadu has to be able to go up for it and come back down inbounds. And either way, if he would have had possession, that foot would have still landed out of bounds. So for Joe Webb, you got to get that ball in a little bit closer.
Vikings with 2 timeouts remaining, 4 receivers, 2 right and left. Very high snap to Webb. Deep drop, fade right, incomplete. Lex Hilliard, the intended receiver. Flag comes in. Pass interference on the Buffalo Bills anticipated. So with 31 seconds to go in the first half, that will give the Vikings a free first down. What do you think's more important here, sticking one in the end zone or giving Blair Walsh another opportunity to kick?
Well, you look at Blair Walsh, he's had his opportunities. For Joe Webb, we need to see him finish a drive. So I think this is a very important drive for Webb.
Picking
There's
up
no
the flag.
foul on the play.
Okay.
The pass was behind the line of scrimmage. 4th down.
So now Blair Walsh, who was 2 of 3 this evening, and really, in fairness to Walsh, his only miss might have resulted due to a low snap from Colin Leffler to Chris Kluwe. I think it threw Blair off a little bit. We'll talk to special teams coordinator Mike Prefer after the game and see what he has to say about that. But this is a 45-yard try. The kid from Georgia faces up to the kick, booms it, and it is good. I love our kicker. I'll tell you this right now. With the way he kicks off, I'll guarantee you this right now via the simulcast. We'll do it next week on the flagship FM 100.3 The Fan. We will not allow a kick return touchdown all year. He kicks the ball too far deep in the end zone. Now last year, we had 19 touchbacks, 28th in the NFL. To put it in perspective, the New Orleans Saints had 61. Now the Saints are going to score more than us, so thus kick off more. This kid's kicking ability, specifically indoors, is so good on the kickoff. I guarantee you, we do not give up a kickoff return touchdown all year.
Well, Paul, I just don't want you to fall in love on the first date. We're only getting through a preseason here.
But look at all of his kickoffs. They're all 5 and 6 yards deep in the end zone.
Except for the one that he squibbed up the middle. So he's getting better, Paul. My point is this, I love everything I'm seeing about him too.
I hear you.
I just want to see him do this against Green Bay in Lambeau to win a game, and at the end as the clock winds out in the fourth quarter. So it's again, you're right, Paul. He's building up. He's gaining confidence. You can see it on him. He has a long way to go, I still think. However, I love what I see so far too.
Via the simulcast, here's the kick, and oh geez, it's only 10 yards, 9 yards deep in the end zone. Want to rethink that? Blair Walsh will be kicking against several teams this year, including the Jacksonville Jaguars September 9th. Here's a look at the Vikings' upcoming schedule, brought to you by Arby's. Jaguars September 9th, single game seats on sale now at Vikings.com. Win at Indy, win. Niners come here September 23rd. Rubber meets the road.
So, you look at those first 3 or 4 games there in the first half of the schedule.
Yeah, there's the second half beginning with Seattle.
A lot, more outdoor games. This is what it's going to get tough the last 6 or 8 games of the year.
You just drew an ear with the telestrator.
Well, I'm trying to get the whatever.
Well, you drew an ear for the simulcast.
That's
you
what
can listen to us on News Talk AM 1130 and FM 100.3 The Fan, and see us via the simulcast. Can we take a look at the second half of the schedule again? It begins with Seattle. And the first half, markedly easier than the second half. You're going to see some really, really tough games coming up here momentarily, Pete.
Right, and you look at when you look at that second half of the season, where do the Vikings have to be the first 8? Because you look from Chicago on down to Green Bay, you have one team, and it's on the road, that had a rough schedule last year, or had a rough season last year. You're at Seattle, so your 2 games that look on paper to be easier are both on the road. So for the Vikings, they're going to need to be 6-2 in halfway through the season if they want to be playoff eligible.
Vince Young, screen to the left to Shard Choice, speeds to the 25-30, 35 up the far side. The Bills have 2 timeouts left. They just achieved a first down, 18-yard connection. Vince Young to Shard Choice, 12 seconds to go in the first half. The Vikings lead 16-7. Buffalo will get the ball to begin the second half. Again, it's fair to note, with the importance of progress and improvement for the Vikings defense, Jasper Brinkley, middle linebacker, Harrison Smith, and for the most part, Mr. L. Raymond, Jamarcus Sanford came in there for a second. They all played the entire first half. Alan Williams, the new defensive coordinator, trying to get those guys up to speed.
Oh, he really is. And Alan Williams now pulling Jasper Brinkley over to the side and talking to him as Fred Puggich, former coordinator, now position coach, throws a few more bits of advice at him. 12 seconds left. Paul, these young guys, they need these snaps. They need to get out there, see the speed of the game, see the flow of the game. And for the coaching staff, that there's a lot in the way of evaluation going on, because they have to make a decision. Is Jasper our guy? There are other guys out there. We all know about E.J. Henderson.
Yep.
So for the Viking staff, they have to feel comfortable that after this 3-game stint, Jasper Brinkley is going to be the man for the year.
Vince Young out of the shotgun nearing the end of the first half, eludes the pressure, stiff arms of Viking as he rolls to the right, and he throws it away. 5 seconds to go in the first half. Vince Young had some terrific moments with the Tennessee Titans, but overall it just hasn't worked, Pete.
No, it really hasn't. And you saw the big deal of him coming out of Texas, and this is another point that I've made, and we've talked about, Paul, numerous times, is it's so hard to hit the ball out of the park with a quarterback and with a wide receiver when you draft them early, because you just sometimes don't know what you're going to get. Vince Young has had a frustrating career, I think, so far. He's just trying to find somewhere to land on his feet. Will an offense like this fit him? I don't know. Fitzpatrick is about as opposite of a quarterback as you can get as far as style goes, but he's fighting right now, battling for a backup job on this club.
Final play of the half comes up well short of the end zone and the Minnesota Vikings after a pretty impressive first half. Christian Ponder got sacked a couple of times early, but they respond and score their first touchdown of the preseason. It was Ponder to Jerome Felton. The Vikings lead 16-7. It's the preseason home opener. Second half action coming up shortly on the Minnesota Vikings Entertainment Network. punter Greg Coleman caught up with head coach Leslie Frazier.
Greg Coleman at halftime, 16-7, coach, your team over the Buffalo Bills. Great offensive momentum. First 2 possessions.
Yeah, offense really came out and did a great job. Kristen did a great job of leading us. Jerome Simpson, Toby, our offensive line, just all the things we talked about during the week, we saw it. Our defense did a great job of getting stops and coming up with some big plays. So, and our special teams, Blair's done had a good first half as well. So far, everything's going the way we wanted to go.
Your young secondary, did you get enough? Did you see enough from some of those guys, and who made the plays stand out in your mind?
Well, it looked like we were doing a pretty good job there. They were able to get one big play in the passing game on that touchdown that we'll have to take a look at. But other than that, I thought they did a good job.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
That's head coach Leslie Frazier, guys. The Minnesota Vikings over the Buffalo Bills, 16-7 at Mall of America Field. Back to you, Paul. Pete.
Thanks a lot, Greg. Thank you, Leslie. Back in the booth. Preseason game number 2. It's the home opener for the Minnesota Vikings. Pete Bursich, yours truly, Paul Allen. Happy to be joined by Vikings general manager Rick Spielman. What were some overview thoughts you had of the Vikings in the first half?
Just thought the offense, to come out and put a touchdown on the board in the first series was big because we only had 2 field goals last year. You've seen some of our playmakers be able to make some plays. You've seen Jerome Simpson and what he can bring to our offense. Christian Ponder, I thought, looked real comfortable in the offense tonight, so there were a lot of positives.
There we see Percy Harvin. What did you think of Percy Harvin's effort this evening? Jerome Simpson and Percy Harvin, 2 of our better receivers.
One thing, Percy did a great job on that little swing pass and made a nice upfield move, but the thing that you don't notice about Percy is what a great blocker he is, and some of those runs that Toby had, you have to give him credit for what he does.
Rick Spielman, general manager of the Minnesota Vikings, joining us for a majority of the third quarter, and there's Blair Walsh booming the ball deep in the end zone. The Buffalo Bills will begin from their own 20-yard line, trailing 16-7. Pete and I were talking about your rookie kicker. There we see him on screen via the simulcast, Blair Walsh. At the end of the first half, it might be grandiose. Maybe you'll think it braggadocious, and I know you're going to think I'm jinxing him with the way he kicks the ball on the kickoffs. He had 19 touchbacks last year, 28th in the NFL. I don't think, unless he mishits 10 this year, I don't think anybody's going to return a kick against us.
No, that's one reason why we drafted him. We knew the leg strength on the kickoffs, and that would definitely help us.
Now, Rick, tying into that, when you get better field position for the defense, right now as we take a look at our second team that's out there, one guy that's been standing out to me is Marvin Mitchell. Has a lot of experience. He's coming out there challenging in the middle. Has got the big pass deep.
Yeah, it's a deep pass from Vince Young to T.J. Graham, a rookie speedster from NC State. Played with Audie Cole last week. It's a 64-yard connection.
Yeah, T.J. Yeah, he was a great speed guy coming out. He ran track down at North Carolina State. What you see in our safety, Eric Frampton, they were in a cover 2, and he got behind him on a post route, which should never happen.
No, and you also need your corner to get up there in front and slow him down a little bit. But, now you're looking at your backup safeties. I'd like to get your reaction after this play to Harrison Smith, who had his first night of starting, played all the way up until halftime. Get some reaction on what he did and how he played. He had a nice blitz, breakup, pass breakup. These young guys are starting to show up. It has to be exciting for you.
We have a timeout on the field. The Buffalo Bills, after the long hit, are taking a timeout. The Vikings lead the Bills 16-7. Just underway in the third quarter on the Vikings Entertainment Network. A beautiful night at Mall of America Field for Vikings football. Vikings lead the Bills 16-7 in the third quarter. Pete Bursich, Paul Allen, and general manager Rick Spielman. Tonight's health injury report provided to you by Sanford Health. Today, we come together to improve the human condition. Rick, LaTroy Guion, starting defensive tackle for you, sprained a PCL at San Francisco. What can you tell us?
Yeah, right now it's not a significant injury. We'll just take it day to day as he goes along. He's working real hard to rehab. He did a great job last week in a few plays that he had. Showed that burst and acceleration upfield and could be a playmaker for us at the nose tackle position.
Now, with 14:11 to go in the third quarter via the simulcast, Vince Young goes out of the shotgun. 2 receivers left, 1 right. Changes the play at the line of scrimmage. 12 to go on the play clock. Young takes a high snap, looks to the right, fires to the right, caught inside the 10-yard line, and forced out of bounds by Andrew Sendejo is Darren Dickinson in his first full year from Pittsburgh. That's a gain of 14. Rick, when you analyze this stage of the game where there are nothing but backups, how do you look at it differently from what you saw, say, in the first quarter?
What you're watching now with these young guys, if they can step in during the season, if you have one of your key guys or one of your starters go down, not only do they have to be able to step up and play if they have to play in games, but they also have to be the major contributors on special teams.
First and goal for the Bills, trailing by 9 in the third quarter. It's the Wildcat. It's a direct snap to Tashard Choice, and he is stood up right down by the goal line. Larry Dean in the mix, Tyrone McKenzie in the mix, former Bear Zach Bowman also in the mix. Rick, are you surprised you would see the Wildcat in the preseason?
No, I wouldn't be surprised with what you see. I know, just talking to Chan Gailey before the game, and I worked with Chan down with the Miami Dolphins. But, you know, they're going to look, and all these teams are going to look at what they can use and not use potentially during the regular season.
Vince Young goes under center, I formation behind him, second and goal. Man goes in motion. Vince takes the snap, hands it to Tashard Choice, and he runs into the end zone on the left side for a 1-yard Buffalo Bills touchdown. It is 16-13.
And Rick, we ended before the last break talking a little bit about Harrison Smith. Got his first start tonight. Give me some of your impressions of his play.
Well, I thought, you know, down at training camp down in Maverick Country, down in Mankato State, you know, you've seen all these young guys progress from where they were from day one to where they're at right now. And some of these guys are making some plays here in this second preseason game.
Yeah, we talked about Harrison Smith, very multifaceted linebacker at Notre Dame, outstanding running back in high school in Tennessee. And he's strong safety for you, correct, Rick?
Well, he has the ability to play both and free strong safety.
More with the general manager, Rick Spielman, coming up shortly. 13:25 to go in the third quarter. The Vikings lead the Buffalo Bills 16-14 on the Vikings Entertainment Network. America Field, it's the preseason home opener. It's the Bills and the Vikings. Vikings lead 16-14. Great seats are available for all Vikings home games. Get yours by visiting Vikings.com. We begin September 9th against the Jacksonville Jaguars. 2 weeks after that, one of the better teams in the NFL, a team against whom we played last week. The San Francisco 49ers will be in town. Tennessee Titans are here, Arizona Cardinals, and of course, the rough and tumble NFC North featuring Green Bay, Chicago, and Detroit. Very deep kick on the ensuing kickoff. Jarius Wright with no chance to bring it back. 13:25 to go in the third quarter. Vikings lead by 2. This is Minnesota Vikings football. For a passing touchdown, the Vikes only TD tonight. Welcome back to Mall of America Field via the simulcast, and welcome to the booth. Pete Bursich, along with General Manager Rick Spielman. I'm Paul Allen. The Vikings lead the Buffalo Bills 16-14. The Vikings have the ball. Joe Webb with a good running performance so far tonight, Rick.
Well, everyone knows that's what Joe can do. If the pocket breaks down or if he can't go through his progression or find an open receiver, you have to honor his ability to run the football, and that's what was on display tonight.
And Joe's under center. Vikings lead by 2. 13.5 minutes to go in the third quarter. Hands it to Derek Coleman, an undrafted rookie from UCLA. And he'll gain just a couple of yards. Ben Lieber, 6-year linebacker for the Minnesota Vikings, is on the sidelines. He'd like to join the conversation with the general manager. Good evening, Ben.
Good evening. How you guys doing?
Good.
Mr. Spielman, how you doing?
Good. You look different in a different suit. You try to match Greg Coleman down there. Just be who you are.
I can't look as good as Coleman, and I can't look as good as Jeff Anderson.
What are they grooming you for?
We were just talking about how he stays so pressed during the game. He was giving me crap about how wrinkled my shirt is, and I don't know. I don't have a personal steamer like he has.
Joe Webb back to pass, makes a man miss, sprints out to the right, throws incomplete. He threw behind the intended receiver, and it will be third down for the Vikings, 3rd and about 7. Ben?
I guess it's like an informal question, formal question. Mr. GM Spielman, do I call you Rick? Do I call you Mr. Spielman? Do I call you Sir?
Just don't call me what you used to call me as a player.
Oh, Cupcake? I can't call you Cupcake? I have a question for you.
Yes, sir.
How many nights did you lay awake pining over whether or not you're going to sign me back?
Very few.
Oh,
You know, it was between you and Pete, and we've had that discussion a few times.
Joe Webb out of the shotgun, rolls out to the right on third down, is forced out of bounds, walks out of bounds, and the Vikings will punt. I have a serious question for you. You can't fix everything at once. So Matt Khalil, left tackle. Harrison Smith comes in. I thought Josh Robinson flashed a little bit this evening. Sure would be nice to get Robert Blanton out here. Jarius Wright had some opportunity this evening. The depth on the offensive line, is that something with which you're secure, or do you feel it still needs work?
There's a lot of people battling for those spots. I think our two backup or top tackle, DeMarcus Love, we haven't seen yet because of a pec strain that he got early in training camp. And then Jeff Schwartz, who we signed to play that right guard, right tackle position, also has been out with a sports hernia. So what we're going to have to do is to make them some decisions based on their past history and what we currently have.
Chris Cluey with a punt. The returner returns it to the near side. Tyrone McKenzie absolutely levels him at the 45. The Minnesota Vikings will be playing defense when we return, leading by 2 in the third quarter on the Vikings Entertainment Network. Passing touchdown, first touchdown this preseason for the Vikings. Minnesota leads Buffalo 16-14, 12:22 to go in the third quarter. Get the brand new Vikings jerseys along with all your other merchandise needs at the Vikings Locker Room store at Mall of America or on Vikings.com. Maybe you can receive a game-worn Mistral Raymond. He's a safety for the Minnesota Vikings. More on him with General Manager Rick Spielman coming up shortly. Meanwhile, Bills have the ball. And the handoff goes to the tailback between the hash marks, gains just a couple of yards. Mr. L. Raymond, second year from South Florida. As of now, he's your starting safety next to Harrison Smith. What did you think of his performance this evening?
Yeah, that's been determined yet. I think last week when you saw him, he played very solid except for that one play where he missed a tackle in the open field. And what you're seeing him here tonight is he is a second-year player. He was a corner that we converted to free safety out of South Florida. And you can see his progression from maybe last week against San Francisco to some of the great plays that he made here tonight.
Vince Young shotgun, trips right, a receiver left on 2nd and 8. Vikes lead by 2. Young fires right, and it's caught at the 46-yard line of the Vikings. Caught by Darren Dickerson, first full year from Pitt. Pete?
And you take a look at the defense that's on the field right now. I want to discuss the linebacker position. I'm seeing a lot of Marvin Mitchell, and I like it. I really think that he and Aaron Henderson are in a true battle. You're looking at Tyrone McKenzie and Larry Dean. But the other wild card on this, I think, is Audie Cole, a guy who's showing some promise. Now, the Vikings have kept 6 on the roster at linebacker. Is that something that may change as you evaluate the personnel?
Yeah, as we look through this, you have to compare those guys to maybe do you keep an extra defensive back. And Tyrone McKenzie, as you've seen tonight, has made 2 outstanding plays on special teams. So as you're comparing these down the liners, as you're trying to make your 53-man roster, do you keep the extra DB because he gives you more in special teams, or do you keep the extra linebacker? And I think earlier we, in 08-09, we had kept 7 linebackers because of what Heath Farwell done for us on special teams.
And via the simulcast, we just saw Nick Reed, who has spent some time with several teams, including the Bears. Nice spin move to get back to the quarterback. He's trying to win a spot on the roster too, correct?
Correct. Yeah, we have great battles going on at all those positions on defense.
There's the punt to the rookie Jarius Wright. Just under 11 minutes to go in the third quarter. Vikings general manager Rick Spielman continues to analyze the team with the Vikings leading by 2. This is Vikings football. The Minnesota Vikings leading the Bills by 2 in the third quarter. 16-14 Vikings. Pete Bursich, Paul Allen, and Minnesota Vikings general manager Rick Spielman analyzing the Vikings in the third quarter. Joe Webb's in at quarterback. He's had some really good running moments. Christian Ponder, by the way, finished 10 of 13, 136 yards, a touchdown. It went to fullback Jerome Felton. Here's the handoff to Derek Coleman. Wiggles at the line of scrimmage. Sprints out to the right for a gain of about a yard.
You know, Rick, one of the things that we follow as Rubes and guys that really eat this stuff up is the progression of Everson Griffin. He was changed, moved to linebacker, put on the third team. You had some chances to look at him as a defensive lineman, or I'm sorry, as a linebacker. Now he's back playing for the defensive line. Is that going to be his home?
I think that's where we're going to move him now. We looked at him at linebacker, but what also you're looking at when he's playing that linebacker position is when we're in some nickel situations, as we get going through the season. Excuse me.
What a great run. It caused the general manager to get choked up. We must have an emotional battle for a backup running back spot.
That's Matt Asiata.
That's Matt Asiata.
He plays fullback, but we wanted to see him run the ball.
This is unbelievable.
So we put him in at some running back.
Are we looking at a new and improved now Fahu Tai?
11-yard run. What a general managerial tell. Asiata gets the carry. You didn't cough when Coleman got it or when Hilliard got it. Matt Asiata, 25 years of age, out of Utah. Not the fastest thing in the world, but seems to hit the hole pretty well and has position flexibility.
He was a good running back at Utah, and then he converted to fullback. And we want to see, what we're trying to see is some guys that could potentially play both that third running back and possibly a fullback position.
Hey, Rick, while we get the opportunity, there you see Adrian Peterson on the simulcast standing next to Chad Greenway. Christian Ponder this evening, 10 of 13. His progression from the San Francisco game, what'd you think?
You know, we thought he played very well in the San Francisco game. In some of those drives, he had 3 balls dropped from the receivers that could have kept the drives alive and potentially turned into touchdowns. But you've seen him here, first time in the Metrodome. I know he wanted to come out and play very well, and he did that in the first series.
Here's Joe Webb firing over the middle, incomplete, threw it behind Devin Aromashadu. Rough night for Devin. 3 passes, 2 have been on time near the boundaries, but just a little over him and out of bounds. That one was behind him. He wiggled his way open. Devin Aromashadu definitely can give you a little speed on the outside if you assuming he makes the team.
Yeah, right here you see him. He's trying to adjust behind. Joe needs to get the ball out in front of him a little bit. That's a tough thing on a receiver when he's going full stride and has to turn his body around to make that tough catch.
Third down, Joe out of the shotgun. 2 receivers right, 1 left. Bills rush 4. Webb fires left. Caught Stephen Burton at the 35 on a slant. Close to the first down. Joe threw it behind him a little bit, but not badly enough to make it an incomplete pass. And that's big for Stephen, especially since he fumbled earlier.
Yeah, no, we like what we see in Stephen Burton. He's a big athlete. He's almost 220-pound receiver. He has very good hands. Came from a small school. We drafted him in the 7th round last year. You see how well he's starting to progress and get more comfortable in this offense.
Now, if you take a look at tonight's game, I think when we all walk away, the headline is absolutely going to be Christian Ponder and how well he played tonight. I want to talk about a specific position group, and that's tight end. And I think even though we're missing John Carlson, one of our big free agent acquisitions, you're looking at Kyle Rudolph, Rhett Ellison, Alan Reisner. These guys are playing very, very well as a group. As we just see Mickey Schuller haul in a nice pass.
Flag on the play.
You might have some problems figuring out where to put all these tight ends on the roster.
Yeah, no, you know, Green Bay has kept 5 tight ends in the past because some of those tight ends that could potentially play fullback too. So as you're sitting here figuring out that 53-man roster, you're looking at those different combinations. Could a fullback and tight end play the same position, or do you keep a fullback on your roster? Which guy plays better on special teams? But we feel all 5 of our tight ends, if they're not all here, will play somewhere in the NFL. They're that talented.
1st and 10 for the Vikings midway through the 3rd quarter via the simulcast. 16-14 Vikings. Joe Webb the quarterback. Single set. Trips left to receiver right. Webb hands the ball off to Asiata. Matt Asiata, the kid from Utah, wiggles his way across the 40 for a 10-yard gain. And a Minnesota Vikings first down.
Now, Rick, you know, you're getting into your GM-ness. You've settled into your office. You've moved all your furniture. One of the interesting things from the GM of the Buffalo Bills and Buddy Nix is how he's built this Buffalo Bills team with the money that they have spent on defense. But you look at the offense, and guys like Steve Johnson was a 224th pick. David Nelson, wide receiver, undrafted. Ryan Fitzpatrick, the quarterback, 7th round pick by the St. Louis Rams, and now he's in there. Fred Jackson, undrafted from Cole College. You can build an efficient and a good offense with guys that some people have never heard of.
Yeah, and that's what we're trying to do, where you got John Sullivan, as you see right there on the screen, who was a 6th round pick, a Brandon Fusco, who's battling for. Alan Reisner was a college free agent, made a nice play right here.
Yeah. 17 yards for the kid who used to play for the Iowa Hawkeyes, just trying to make things difficult for you, right?
And that you have to give credit to Scott Studwell and our college staff too, because those guys are out there all season They've been out on the road already for the first week in August, trying to get ready already for the 2013 draft.
1st and 10 Vikings leading by 2, 6:20 to go and counting in the third quarter via the simulcast. And Joe Webb hands the ball off to Matt Asiata, and he's hit at the line of scrimmage. Might have been trapped for a 1-yard loss. No gain for the Vikings as Derek Coleman comes back in. What kind of training camp do you feel Joe Webb has had so far?
You know, Joe, we really focused on trying to hone in his quarterback skills because he was a spread-out offense when he came out of college. He was a great athlete, but it's different when they come into the NFL because you have to read defenses, you have to go through your progressions. And I think, Joe, this is only his second year, really a full-time quarterback, that you're hoping he continues to progress and is showing signs of that.
2nd and 11, they blitz Joe, dumps over the middle, caught by Derek Coleman, and he stopped at the line of scrimmage, might have gained 1. But just on a play like that, as we see Joe Webb on the simulcast, nice recognition to find somebody immediately, not take the sack. But nevertheless, Joe has been most effective when, like a knuckleballer out of the bullpen, he comes into the middle of the game and he catches everybody off guard. He's basically unstoppable.
He's very different than a Christian Ponder, so it's tough to compare for the defensive coordinators this league to prepare for both types of quarterbacks because Joe's such a unique athlete and can make so many plays when he improvises on the field.
3rd and 10 for the Vikings leading by 2 in Bills territory. Webb, fade right, end zone, incomplete. Devin Aroma should do the intended receiver. Pass is incomplete, back right of the end zone. And you know what? During the preseason, it's been commonplace for me when situations like that happen because it's the preseason. I know you want to score touchdowns. I know you wanted to get some at San Francisco. Here on the simulcast, you see Webb fade to Devin Aroma should do. Stone cold pass interference on the Bills cornerback.
How do you like these these referees, huh?
I am not allowed to comment on that one or the one that they accidentally grabbed Jerome Simpson on
Blair
the fade
Walsh
route.
between the hash marks from 40 yards. It's up and it is good. You see, we don't score touchdowns, but we get a chance to see what the rookie kicker can do.
This is great experience for him.
Absolutely, and you know what? I can argue his only miss this preseason was due to a low snap, and it kind of threw off his step a little bit.
Yeah, no, he's had a great off-season, great through training camp, and now we're getting to see him in some game-like conditions. This is the first time he's kicked in the Metrodome. I know how excited he was before the game. You can see how wide his eyes were down there getting ready to go for the first time. So very excited about where he's headed.
I know you don't want to go down the road too far with these replacement officials, but Bernie Kukar, one of the most well-respected officials in the history of the NFL, he's worked a zillion Super Bowls, Edina native. I noticed on the San Francisco trip he sat with your coaches. He's doing the same tonight. What's the purpose of that, Rick?
He's kind of like a consultant and is working with Leslie Frazier and our coaching staff. He'll also be helping in the booth, too, for instant replays during the season if there's challenges and things. So with his experience and vast knowledge of officiating, we feel that he would be a big asset, so we brought him aboard.
19-14 Vikings, 12 plays, 64 yards. Possession took 6 minutes and 7 seconds of the third quarter, and Blair Walsh has only missed 1 time this preseason. He nails a 40-yard field goal, and here's the ensuing kick. And per usual, it's 8-9 yards deep in the end zone. Rick, we're seeing when Blair Walsh kills the ball the way he is, we're seeing teams bring it out 5, 6, 7 yards deep in the end zone. We won't see that in the regular season.
No, I think what teams are doing is trying to see their returners return, and they want to see their blockers block, because if they're always just touching the ball back or touching it in the end zone, they're not going to get to evaluate their guys. And it helps us because we're evaluating our guys at the same time as they go down there and cover the kicks.
Now, there's no such thing in your line of work as a no-brainer, but you look at Matt Khalil and the way he's played already the first couple games of the year. Is he everything that you thought he would be?
He's a very talented athlete. He takes football very seriously. He fit the profile we want. Tough, smart, passionate football players. Comes from a great pedigree. You know how his brother's a Pro Bowl center down in Carolina. Comes from a great family. And just very excited to have and get the opportunity to draft a Matt Khalil.
2nd and 6 for the Bills, trailing 19-14, 4:43 to go in the third quarter. And into the game for the Buffalo Bills, their third quarterback, A man with whom Rick Spielman is
Tyler
very
Thigpen.
familiar. Tyler Thigpen out of Coastal Carolina. He played there with your receiver Jerome Simpson, correct?
Yes, they were in college together.
That in all my years of knowing you, when you drafted Tyler Thigpen in the 7th round, and then he played in the preseason, put him on the practice squad, Kansas City picked him up, put him on the active roster. That was one of the more negative moments for you, one of those real gut punches, wasn't it?
It's any kid, because if you're trying to slide some guys through to the practice squad, you know the teams are looking at your players just like we're looking at all these other teams' players in the preseason. And you know, when we exposed him for that 24 hours, Kansas City jumped on him. He's turned out to be a pretty good backup quarterback in this league.
3rd down, Tyler Thigpen takes the snap, fires left, caught, first down for the Bills at the 37-yard line. And for Buffalo, that is an 11-yard gain.
Rick, I mean, we're all excited to have Adrian Peterson back in the mix. We know he got us some pads, got some plays on, but Toby Gerhart, from last week to this week, he's shown that he can get those tough yards. We saw him today wiggle out of the backfield, catch a couple balls across the middle, and really move the chains in the red area where it's hard for a team to run the football.
That's what Toby does. He's not the electric outrun you in space type back, but he has great vision. He is big, he's strong, he has great run balance and great run strength, and he wears down defenses. Toby's not going to come off the bench and maybe give you an electric play one every 2 or 3 plays. Where Toby thrives, and we knew this when he came out of college because you saw it in his college tape, is the more carries he gets, he wears down the defenses, because I know the defense gets tired of hitting a big back like that.
Rick Spielman, general manager for the Vikings, in the booth via the simulcast. Pete Bursich, Paul Allen, Ben Lieber on the sidelines. Jared Allen, 22 sacks last year. Anything different about him this offseason when he came in for minicamp physically?
No.
He didn't build up a little bit in the upper body?
He came back in great shape like he always does. He does an outstanding job in the offseason, keeping his body fresh, and he looks like he's ready to go. I know Jared's excited, and we're excited for Jared as we get ready to kick off against Jacksonville.
Now, with all those sacks last year, you'd like to say, do you expect more attention to be paid to him, but you can't possibly pay more attention to him than he saw last year?
Yeah, teams are going to game plan to Jared Allen because he may be one of the best pass rushers, if not the best pass rusher in the league. But we feel we have enough depth, and if they're going to cone in on Jared Allen, Brian Robinson's going to come in, and I think he has an opportunity to have a double-digit sack season as well.
Now, when the defensive coordinator, Alan Williams, comes out and talks about platooning the defensive line, how much, just, we're speaking hypothetically, how much impact or how much say do you have? Or does it like get you in the gut if you have a coach that wants to do something that maybe either the players don't agree with or you don't agree with as far as the scheme goes?
You know, those are all the stuff that we talk about during the offseason, and doing studies and looking at the New York Giants, who won a Super Bowl, and how they rotate their defensive line. But it's up to Leslie Frazier, Alan Williams, Brendan Daly. Those guys have to determine when to have those guys on the field.
Defense, number 58. That penalty is declined. First down.
Tyler Thigpen just ran for a long first down, penalty decline. Please continue.
And when to give them enough rest, because as you go through a season, and if those guys are playing 90-95% of the time, just like a running back, as many shots as he's going to hit if he's playing all the time, your body eventually wears down. So to keep those guys fresh, especially in the fourth quarter, or especially in third down situations, if they got to blow for a couple plays, they're going to be that much more effective.
2:05 and counting to go in quarter 3. Tyler Thigpen, the former Viking, out of the shotgun. Minnesota leads by 5. Thigpen takes the snap, hands it off to the tailback. Choice, who has a touchdown tonight, to the left side, gets nothing. Kevin Williams, a 93, one of the better defensive tackles in the National Football League. He finished the season pretty nicely for you last year. He's in his 10th year from Oklahoma State. With Jared Allen as the game-changing right defensive end, you already said if they scheme more for Allen, expect bigger things from Robinson. What about 93?
93 is another guy that people hone in on too. And if there's anyone that gets double-teamed more than Kevin Williams, I'd like to see it. He's the guy that in this defense, that 3 technique or that under tackle, teams are going to key on him because he's kind of the engine that makes the defense run.
2nd and 10, Bills ball in Vikings territory. Tyler Thigpen fires to the right. It's caught in front of Larry Dean at the 39-yard line. and that'll be short of a first down, short by about 5 yards. Now, behind Kevin Williams, Antoine Winfield sitting next to Chris Cook. Antoine played the first 5 last year, averaged 7.5 tackles per game, had a tackle for loss every game, and an interception. He was well on his way to another terrific season. How badly did you guys miss him last year?
I think, we missed a lot of those guys. We missed Antoine Winfield. We missed the Chris Cook. We had a lot of injuries in the secondary, and that's where the strength of our defense right now is. And there's some great battles going on at corner. There's some great battles going on at safety as well.
Big Pen fires over the middle, and it's caught for a Bills first down deep in the third quarter. Hey, can I put you on the spot right now?
Yes.
Will you stay for a couple of series in the fourth quarter? We're having an awesome time talking about your team.
Yeah, it goes fast.
Oh, that's great. Rick Spielman, general manager for the Minnesota Vikings. Pete Bursich, Paul Allen via the simulcast. Again, you're watching the game and listening to it at News Talk AM 1130 and FM 100.3 The Fan. Via the simulcast, the Vikings lead 19-14. More with general manager Rick Spielman from Mall of America Field coming up shortly on the Minnesota Vikings Entertainment Network. General manager Rick Spielman coming up shortly. Vikings lead the Bills 19-14. Welcome back to the simulcast into the fourth quarter. Visit Vikings.com for exclusive wired sound all season long, including this from Trevor Guyton.
Goal line. Let's go, B. Hey, let's go, D-line. Hey, I'm working right gap and safe, right? Yeah, right there.
Trevor Guyton, one of several selected by general manager Rick Spielman, joining us for a series or two in the fourth quarter. In the most recent draft from Matt Khalil through Trevor Guyton, just what's your view on the draft so far through one preseason game and 3 quarters?
Well, very excited about some of the young talent we were able to acquire. We could have 2, potentially 3 starters out of this rookie class this year, along with the class from last year. So very excited in the direction some of these young players are going to take this program.
Pete?
Andrew Sendejo is a guy that we've mentioned his name quite a bit. He's had some physical plays, and obviously down here in the near end zone on our right side, as you see it on the radio, knocking guys out of bounds. He's showing up. Talk a little bit about him and what he brings to the table.
He would have played in the UFL, and that's where we first noticed him. George Payton, my assistant GM, and our pro scouts do a great job scouting the Canadian League, the Arena League, the UFL. He showed up in the UFL 2 years ago. We saw him in the preseason when he was with the Dolphins last year. Not only is he a very physical run support guy, but surprised us with some of his range on the back end as a safety, and also what he's done for us on special teams so far.
Hey, 24, Zach Bowman on the screen now via the simulcast. Played 6 years with the Chicago Bears, had one really good season, had some success against the Vikings. What's his deal? Is he a really good special teamer first before cornerback?
He is a good special team player, but he also, you can't deny what he does at corner. He's a big, long corner, probably better when he's pressed up to the receiver than when he's off. Has very good awareness. I think he had 6 interceptions in a season 2 years ago. The one thing he does do is play special teams. And when you're looking at those backup corners and you see him break right there on the ball, he's a hitter. He has that body length and range to be effective both on defense and on special teams.
Fourth down for the Bills. Dig pin to Ruvel Martin comes up a bit short, and the aforementioned Zachary Bowman, the former Bear, was right there to slow things with 13.5 minutes to go in the game. The Vikings lead by 5. Rick, thank you very much for joining us. Enjoy the rest of the game, okay?
Thanks, Pete.
Thank you.
Minnesota Vikings general manager Rick Spielman via the simulcast. Vikings get the ball back, leading 19-14 on the Vikings Entertainment Network. A beautiful night in the Twin Cities, and even more beautiful with the Minnesota Vikings leading. Sage Rosenfeld's in at quarterback for the Vikings, goes back to pass, zips it right, caught by Alan Reisner, a backup tight end. And it's the first down, or excuse me, short of the first down for the Minnesota Vikings. Joe Webb done. Christian Ponder had a wonderful evening, throwing for a very high percentage, and also a touchdown to Jerome Felton. The man to the left of Joe Webb, McLeod Bethel Thompson, will not play this evening. Played last week against San Francisco. And Sage Rosenfels is in the game now, the most veteran of the bunch in his 12th year from Iowa State. Sage has an I formation behind him, puts tight end Alan Reisner in motion, and the handoff goes to Derek Coleman, who heads to the right side for just a couple of yards. Gain of 1.
Hey, you take a look, Paul, it's Sage Rosenfels and how he's been with the Vikings. He's been out of the Vikings, but his first trip here, coming in from Houston, there were some high expectations. I personally thought that he was going to be our starting quarterback going into the season. It didn't quite work out that way. But a veteran guy, and with a guy like Sage, coaches don't have to have him out there every single week. They can give somebody like Joe Webb the time and the snaps to get better. And for Sage, yeah, I mean, he's getting some mop-up time here, but this is his first live action in the preseason. He's a wily old vet. He's 33 years old. He can get it done.
Sage goes out of the shotgun. The Bills blitz. Sage steps away from it, dumps left, and it's caught by Manny Arsenault. Manny Arsenault, formerly of the Canadian Football League, second year from Alcorn State. It's a gain of 2. So that's going to make it 4th down, and Chris Cluey is going to punt.
And for Sage, he's just doing the best he can, trying to step up and avoid the pressure and dump the ball off outside to Emmanuel Arsenault. And for Sage, I know he has to be out. This game has to be pretty simple for him right now. A man who's been through many battles, been through many seasons. Sit out there and take snaps in the 4th quarter. It's got to be a little tough.
Punt from Cluey, returnable. TJ Graham is fast. Look out, makes a man miss. Darts to the left. Play is strung out. Excellent special teams coverage by the Minnesota Vikings, led by Andrew Sendejo, trying to win a spot on the Minnesota Vikings, leading the Bills by 5, 11-16 to go in the game. This is Vikings football. From Ponder to Felton, Vikings lead the Bills. Here's more from rookie Trevor Guyton.
Hey, let's go, D. Hey, deep back, deep back.
Trevor Guyton wired for sound thanks to the Vikings Entertainment Network. To get more access to more wired sound, watch Vikings Game Plan on KARE 11 Sunday at 10 in the morning. Now, Trevor Guyton's a 7th-round pick. He was the last guy, Pete Bursich, selected by Rick Spielman and the Minnesota Vikings. Sometimes when you're taking that deep in the draft, there are no guarantees you'll make the team. But from a defensive tackle standpoint, with LaTroy Guion injured, Kevin Williams, Fred Evans, they're going to be in. There are open spots on this Vikings roster.
No question. And we, you talked about Rick with Tyler Thigpen, and these big guys that can play, even though they were drafted late, if you're a big guy, defensive lineman, can two-gap, can move and do those things, they're not going to last long. And they're not going to last long on your practice squad either. So for Trevor Guyton, he's getting a chance now. Jeff Charleston's getting a chance.
Yep.
A lot of these backup defensive linemen are auditioning, not just for the Minnesota Vikings, but the other 31 teams in the league who those pro personnel guys, they sit down and watch every single one of these players and every single one of these plays.
3rd down for the Bills. Andrew Sendejo is safety, cheats up to the line of scrimmage, having a very good preseason and a very good run at training camp. Movement up front. I think they're going to call false start on the left tackle for the Bills. That's going to be tough because Jeff Charleston baited him into it. Nevertheless, Andrew Sendejo, you brought him up with Rick Spielman. I think it's a very interesting talker for the Vikings because there are opportunities available all over the place at safety depth. Okay, just guessing. Harrison Smith in, Mistrell Raymond in, Jamarcus Sanford in, Eric Frampton probably in. Now, Robert Blanton, the rookie from Notre Dame, he hasn't been able to play all preseason or during training camp because of a hamstring injury. That's not doing him any favors.
No, it's not, especially when you have guys out there like Sendejo making plays. And one of the great things that we've seen on him, as we see a penalty on the field right now, with nice pressure up inside by the Viking defensive line, is he's showing up on special teams. And I think Rick brought that again to the forefront, saying, these guys who aren't starting, we have to know whether or not we can win with them as backups, if they can get you out of a game. But above all,
by the offense, number 66. That penalty is declined. 4th down.
But above all, you have to produce on special teams. And I think, Sendejo has really stood out to me. I mean, you look at him and Tyrone McKenzie, those two guys have been just banshees when it comes to covering kicks.
Jarius Wright, the rookie receiver from Arkansas, deep to field the punt. This is the land of opportunity off 3 wins last year. Opportunity all over the team to win spots, including in the punt return game. Jarius Wright from the 15 near side of the 20 to the 25. And that'll be a 13-yard return. We have a flag on the play. 54-yard punt, flag on the play. By the way, Christian Ponder had a fantastic evening for the Vikings. He against the San Francisco 49ers was 4 of 9 for 80 yards. But tonight, Christian had his best preseason performance, going 10 of 13 for 136 yards. Sacked a couple of times right out of the gate, but eventually threw a touchdown to Jerome Felton. And for Christian, the fact that he bounced back from being sacked a couple of times as well as he did, no blanket statements in preseason, but nevertheless a positive step taken by our quarterback.
No question about it.
During the return, holding, return team, number 29, be a 10-yard penalty, 1st down.
You're looking at a defensive line. We talked about this coming into the game, Paul. Kyle Williams, Marcel Darius, these guys are legit. Mario Williams, Ponder held up.
And Ben Lieber will have Christian Ponder when we return. Vikings lead by 5 in the 4th quarter on the Vikings Entertainment Network. Preseason victory number 1. It's the preseason home opener from Mall of America Field. 1914 Vikings, Ben Lieber with Christian Ponder coming up here shortly. Sage Rosenfels, the most veteran of the 4 quarterbacks. He's in now with Matt Asiata as the tailback. Vikings lead 19-14 on the simulcast. Gary Taylor goes in motion to the right, and the handoff goes to Asiata. Stood up at the line of scrimmage, no gain. Let's kick it down to the sidelines to a quarterback with the best arms in the NFL. He's Christian Ponder.
Thanks a lot, guys. I got Christian here. Christian, your 135.4 was your rating tonight. I don't even know if you knew that, but you go back to last week. You had very solid game. Sans 2 drops by the receivers. Thought you played very well. How do you assess this game and your progress right now?
We scored a touchdown, which obviously was our number 1 goal. We wish we had a chance to score another one on the 2nd drive, but we're happy that we're putting points up on the board. We just got to keep improving. I know there's a couple, probably 2 plays I wish I would have had back that I could have made a play on, but we're progressing. I mean, we haven't punted yet as a first-team offense, and that's a good sign.
You hit a few times in the game. I know a couple sacks and a couple hits, but seems like the guys settled down up front, played pretty well from there on out. How do you feel those guys did this game?
They're doing fantastic, man. I mean, I have so much time. I'm able to get to my 3rd, 4th read, no problem, and they look great. So, they've worked extremely hard all training camp, and everyone has, and it's paying off.
I got to ask you about the beard. How long are you going to make it go?
Oh, man, I forgot my razor, so I couldn't shave it. So, I don't know. I didn't shave it last game. I didn't shave it today. So we'll see. Maybe we'll keep it going.
I think with a rating of a 135.4, I think you kind of have to keep it. I don't know if it's as a camp thing, but I think you got to keep it, man.
We'll see. We'll see how it goes.
All right, guys, back to you.
Thanks, Ben. With Christian's performance this evening, one of the things I'm liking a lot about him is when he breaks the pocket and he's keeping his eyes down the field. He's not just looking at the guy in front of him and looking to run every time.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And some of the other things that stand out is to the negatives. You're almost getting nitpicky a couple times here, a little bit there. And
here's Sage.
Oh.
Overthrew Gary Taylor. Continue.
And just the presence, the accuracy of the deep ball, especially the one to Michael Jenkins where he threw it to that back shoulder, allowing Jenkins to jump up and come down with it. In my mind, he has been the most impressive player tonight by far. His accuracy. And, you see Jerome Simpson get in there and make a play. You see Percy Harvin get in there and make a play. You see the speed that we have at some of these positions. And then you watch Ponder just back there, just business as usual. And I think that's the other thing I like about this kid, Paul, is he did all this tonight. Business as usual. He's just looking to get better every game. And that attitude is contagious. And I'm really fired up. I'm excited about his performance tonight. And I think he knows. And you talk to him, and we listen to him talk. He knows he has a long way to go still. But man, is he improving.
Sage Rosenfeld's incomplete on third down. Chris Kluwe into punt for just one of a few times this evening. The Vikings have not punted much, and as the guy on the screen just said, Christian Ponder, the Vikings have yet to punt with their first team offense. Again, baby steps towards averaging more than 21 points a game like they averaged last year, but all preseason we have yet to punt when our first team offense has been on the field.
And that's an impressive stat. I don't care if it's preseason.
Here's Kluwe's punt, and it's a fair catch at the 20-yard line. Midway through the fourth quarter of the preseason home opener, following a 36-yard punt by Chris Kluwe, Vikings lead 19-14 on the Vikings Entertainment Network.
Field. I know it's beautiful outside, and the score is beautiful on the inside with the Vikings ahead of the Buffalo Bills 19-14. NFL.com fantasy football is as legit as fantasy gets. Enjoy free live scoring and instant video highlights. Go legit. Sign up for free at NFL.com/fantasy.
Pete Bursich, Paul Allen, Ben Lieber on the sidelines, and the Buffalo Bills have the ball, trailing 19-14 midway through the fourth quarter. Tyler Thigpen at quarterback. Two receivers left and one right, and Thigpen fires right. Incomplete pass. Zach Bowman on the coverage. Second down. Ben Lieber's on the sidelines with a backup running back having a good preseason. He's Toby Gerhard.
Yeah, thanks, guys. We got Toby down here. Toby, you know, you've got an increased workload with Adrian being down. I know he's kind of off the PUP list. He's going to get it worked in slowly, but you've been handling it really well, man. How you feeling?
I'm feeling good. You know, getting out here and just playing. You know, I came into camp knowing that I'm gonna have to be the guy to carry the load for us, and I'm embracing that and having fun with it. And you know, going out here the last two games and trying to show what I can do.
You know, you've kind of had the style of the big bruising guy. I mean, everybody knows that out of college and from when I played with you. But I'm noticing a little something in your hips. I don't know. Are you taking like a dance class now? Are you making some guys miss? Not a lot of guys getting clean hits on you. Are you doing something different?
I did a little yoga this year, little hot yoga to try to get more flexible. But I think I can be deceptive at times, and try. That's the one thing I wanted to, get better at from last year is make some guys miss, especially in the open field, turn 3-4 yard runs into 10, 20, 30 yard touchdowns.
Was it the flexibility you're looking for, or the yoga pants you're looking for?
I got to say flexibility there.
And I got to tell you, man, like everybody else that's done playing, you can relax a little bit, you can loosen up, you can take the pads off, right?
Right. I mean, I took the pads out of the pants, but I'm here supporting my team. I like to be active, standing right next to Coach Sachs, listening to the play calls, talking to the younger backs, telling them what I'm seeing and getting their feedback. So I try to stay involved. I know I need to relax, but I'm here supporting everybody else.
All right, thanks a lot. Your yoga master. Back to you guys.
Thanks, Ben. Thanks, Toby. Tyler Thigpen out of the shotgun on 3rd and 4, trailing by 5 in the fourth quarter via the simulcast. Two receivers left and right. And there's the snap. Thigpen fires to the right, incomplete. Adrian Peterson, the starting running back for the Vikings when he's healthy, might play next week against San Diego on Friday night, but if not, do you fully expect him to make the first game of the year against Jacksonville?
I really do, Paul. And you look at the screen right now, you see Adrian Peterson, you see Christian Ponder. That's the future of this franchise right here. And I don't know. You look at it. You look at Adrian and his sincerity in his voice and in his gut that he is going to be on this field. And I don't know if the coaches are going to be able to hold him off. But like I said, he's getting those chances in practice now. I fully expect him to touch the football against San Diego a week from now.
The punt to Brian Walters, retrieved it at the 20, and he rambles ahead to the 27-yard line. Well, with Adrian, his recovery process has just been amazing. I mean, I don't think the team's going to lead on with it very much, and I certainly wouldn't want to talk like certified athletic trainer Eric Sugarman, but in chatting privately with Adrian as frequently as I do, I believe he could have played last Friday night against San Francisco. I certainly believe he could have played tonight if they needed him to play. Absolutely believe he will play against Jacksonville. And I remember back in 2007, your first year as analyst on the Vikings radio network, we're getting drubbed at Lambeau Field. Al Harris goes low on him. It was a high ankle sprain. It was supposed to cost Adrian up to 6, maybe 7 weeks. He came back a few weeks after that as Rosenfels goes play action. Now he's going to stretch it deep. Man open at the 30, caught. Manny Arsenault at the 25-yard line. An explosive play by the Vikings. It goes for 48 yards and brings a big smile to Adrian Peterson's face. it's a first down for the Vikings. But he came back just a few weeks after that high ankle sprain, and he just recovers and rehabilitates freakishly well.
Yeah, he does. There's no doubt about it. We joke about it, about his freakishness as an athlete. You sit here and watch the games, and you see how he's just a step faster and a little bit quicker than the rest of this elite field that he plays against. You look at what he was going to do this preseason, Paul. Even if he was healthy, he probably wouldn't have played last week. He may not have seen much away this week. Maybe a quarter against San Diego. Nothing that fourth preseason game. So if he's on track as far as health goes, he might just play as much anyway.
Yeah.
So again, one difference I do see in him, though, we've seen him at the draft, we've seen him working out, is he does look a little more slimmed down. And I think that's a good move by him. I don't know if his weight has changed, but he doesn't look as bulky as he did last year. And when you have an injury and you're trying to come back, if he can play and be the same guy with 5 less pounds on his frame, it's going to make a big difference.
Meanwhile, Sage Rosenfels making plays, hands off to Derek Coleman, left side, first down after a 3-yard gain, 5 minutes to go. Sage Rosenfels, why shouldn't he be the immediate backup to Christian Ponder?
I think it's all down to potential. I think with Sage, I think the coaching staff knows what they have in him. We just saw what he can do.
Yeah.
Granted, it's fourth quarter of a preseason game, but just listening to Rick and how he spoke about Joe and Joe's challenges going forward, and in Joe's defense, he's been moved around. He's been a wide receiver.
Yep.
He's been a quarterback. No one's ever going to sit there and say and tell him that he has a home, but Joe needs this time in the preseason to get better. They're giving him that opportunity because of the potential that he has.
Yeah.
They love that he's a nice right cross changeup to the jab of Christian Ponder, so to speak. I always go back to that Detroit game and what Detroit had to do defensively to slow him down. They had to pull Cliff Averill, their best rushing defensive end, off the line and spy Joe Webb, and Joe Webb almost brought us back. So a steady diet for Joe. You've said this yourself, Paul. If you can game plan for him, it could be a long day. He doesn't have enough of that QB pocket presence yet, I think, to get him to that next level. But man, as a changeup, he is so effective.
7 of 14 tonight was Joe. Ran for 64 yards. Handoff Derek Coleman on 2nd and 10, right side with 4:20 and counting to go in the game, and he'll gain 3 yards. Now, if you're looking to analyze tonight's game or the off-season or the preseason for the Minnesota Vikings via the radio stations and the simulcast, News Talk AM 1130 or FM 100.3 The Fan, we have Vikings Fan Line. So just because television-wise will be done shortly after the game, don't forget to listen to all the post-game analysis and exclusive interview with Leslie Frazier, and Fan Line featuring Corey Cove and Mike Morris from the highly touted and wildly successful Power Trip Morning Show on the flagship for Vikings football, The Fan. You'll be able to call in there as Rosenfels fires left, incomplete on third and 7. Chad Greenway is with his former teammate Ben Lieber.
What's up, guys? I'm trying to get untangled from the cords here. How you doing, Chad?
Not too bad. How's it going?
Good. You guys give it 54 yards rushing tonight. A much better performance than last week. What'd you guys do differently?
Not a lot. That one drive there at the end of early second quarter was not what we wanted to do. He gave a couple runs, better than where we were last week, but we still have a long ways to go, and thankfully we have a couple weeks to get there.
Was there anything specific you guys changed in practice? Did they kind of beat you guys up in practice and shove it down your throats a little bit, or was it just one of those things where that's kind of how the games go, and you guys are always executing?
Yeah, we just had to focus back on the execution of it all. Go back to basics, get back to the, gap it out, know where everybody's at, and just do it in the game. We've been practicing, we have to do it in the game.
I know this is only preseason, but I got to tell you that you need to work on your swag game. I mean, the small, tiny wristbands are just really not working.
Hey, I've had this since college. It stuck with me, so got to keep doing it.
And the eye black, I mean, you kind of look tough, but you kind of look kind of goofy too.
I'm not tough, we know that, but the eye black I have to wear was for picks. Don't want the lights to get in my eyes.
Well, hopefully we have about what do you think? It's 6 picks this year?
Oh man, I hope so. That'd be really nice.
I'll say 6 or 7.
I'm gonna take the under because that's a lot, but I'll take 3.
You got it in you.
I think so.
All right, guys, back to you.
Thanks, Ben. Hey, Pete, fellow linebacker and former linebacker and linebackers coach for the Minnesota Vikings, specifically on Chad Greenway. What does it take? What has to happen during the course of the game for Chad Greenway to become more, quote, splashy, end quote, than he was last year with sacks and, like Ben said, interceptions?
Now, I think someone has to do it with the scheme. And I go back a few years ago, back in, I believe it was 2009, when he had a number of sacks.
Yeah.
A lot of that was a simple my way, your way on the back, and if the back stepped away, he just blitzed, and he has that acceleration. That's one thing about Greenway that really stood out to me after missing his rookie year, his rookie campaign with the torn ACL from covering a kick. Was his explosiveness north and south, and I think Alan Williams is going to see what opportunity lies with him underneath, and I think we're going to see him in the backfield a lot more. As far as the interceptions go, Paul, you know, at Tampa 2, he's the overlap guy underneath. As he gets more into the game plan, as he gets more and more mature studying film, he's going to be able to take some risks, take some guesses, jump a route or two, and as long as you have a Jared Allen breathing down the quarterback's neck, I think he can jump in front of him and get some more of those splashy plays.
Vikings lead by 8. Tyler Thigpen fires right, incomplete on 1st and 10, 3:28 to go. Back to Greenway. You know, when you talk to Chad, part of a defensive group with greats like Jared Allen and Kevin Williams, Brian Robinson's ever improving, but with Chad, you know, if you get him to open a vein a little bit about the exact role he would like to have, he wants to check running backs and tight ends man-to-man. And he wants the challenge of those like Jimmy Graham, Brandon Pettigrew, Greg Olsen for Carolina, Matt Forte, the running back for the Bears. He wants to look at those guys and say, I got them. So everybody else can worry about the interception from Tyler Thigpen. Audie Cole inside the 20 to the 10, reaches for the end zone. Touchdown Vikings! We've scored 2 touchdowns this preseason. Chad Greenway's fired up. The man we had wired for sound last week on the Vikings Entertainment Network, Audie Cole, is fired up. And the Vikings lead 28-14. Well, maybe Chad Greenway should look out for his job. Here comes Audie Cole.
Audie Cole, again, impressing, and you can see him just zone, reading the quarterback, stepping under the route. Ball hits him in the hands, he catches it, then he becomes an offensive player. I don't care if he's 6'5", 250, and runs a 4.9. He was in there, into play. Gets it in the end zone. Now they're going to replay it.
Yeah,
I think we could. Do we have a challenge on the field, or is that coming from the? It's from the booth, obviously. Well,
no,
from
the booth. Correct.
Right, they review all scoring plays now, so we're going to take another look at that one. But either way,
his knee was down. They're going to pull it back.
Well, either way, he gets the ball back in the hands of the offense, and you know, for Audie Cole, this again goes back to what I had asked Rick Spielman. Is you have again 6 linebackers. The one guy who we're all concerned about right now is Jasper Brinkley, but taking a look at everybody around him now, notice the pressure up the middle.
Bust out the telestrator on the knee.
Let's see.
Circle it.
Wow, there's the knee.
Okay. Yes.
Yep.
The telestrator works.
Yeah. They finally let me touch that thing. I got to clear it there. We're getting there.
Do the telestrator.
We got to take the sideline. Nice block on the outside. Block. You got to get more of that guy though, because he's the only one left to block it. And the knee's down.
No, the ball's over the goal. Just give it to him.
Yeah.
Come on, it's
hey, no.
It's our shining moment of the preseason.
Well, hold on. These officials they're auditioning too now. It's preseason for them.
Yeah.
So
as Robert Frazier, the replacement referee, discovered last week, Denver at Chicago. I mentioned it earlier in the simulcast. But there have been some problems with these replacement officials through the first couple of games, and the referee this evening for us, he had a couple of less than glorious moments last week at Soldier Field where he called a snap infraction on a right guard. Of course, the only player against whom a snap infraction can take place would be a center.
Right.
And then on defensive holding later in the game on the Bears, he assessed it as a 10-yard penalty when it only should have been 5. But you know what? I think it's too easy to chide and make fun of the replacement officials because they're doing the best they can. They're in a very difficult situation. You have some guys. There's one guy last week in a game who the last time he officiated a game, it was the Lingerie Football League. I'm not kidding you. And pardon the pun, but they're getting undressed by members of the media for their lack of performance or their lack of productivity. You know what? I think they're doing the best they can. They're going to make mistakes.
Yeah.
And through the 2 games that I've seen, yeah, there have been some missed calls tonight. But I just hope resolution takes place and the locked out officials come back as soon as possible.
I really agree with you, Paul. And I know that this group is doing the best that they possibly can in a tough situation. But, I mean, jobs are decided by what these crews do. And they have to get it right.
The ruling on the field stands.
Yeah, there we go.
Audie Cole. Touchdown, Vikings. Chad Greenway, you better look out. Here comes Audie Cole, the 7th rounder from NC State.
You know, there's something to be said about making plays. And last week he comes up with a big sack. This week it's the interception for a touchdown. And so, again, on paper, he may not have the top 40 speed that you've ever seen and may not move real well in shorts. And that's another reason why you kind of hold what you think of a lot of guys, your judgment on guys, until you see him in pads out here under the lights. And, you know, hopefully he's doing a good job as well on special teams. And he's got a chance now to be in the mix as far as the roster goes.
Absolutely.
We'll see.
Well, absolutely. I mean, he may just be a special teams guy, but if you're going to jump up like Audie Cole, talking to a linebackers coach Fred Puckage on the sidelines now, if you're going to jump up in a spot, make it linebacker, because Chad starts. Jasper's a question mark in the middle.
Absolutely.
He missed all of last season due to a hip injury. We love Jasper. We hope he works out beautifully, but fairness and conversation, it's a question mark. Aaron Henderson's on a 1-year deal. You know, Aaron had a chance to start last year, but he came off the field on nickel and his brother EJ stayed on. So this is Aaron's first opportunity to play quasi full-time football. Now behind that, you got Marvin Mitchell, who played for the Dolphins and the Saints. When in watching the majority of training camp practices, I like Marvin Mitchell. He's not the fastest thing in the world, but he just has a streak of nasty to him that I think is going to help him make the roster. Audie Cole, you know, he's another guy. Tyrone McKenzie, we the former member of the New England Patriots, came into the league with Belichick. We've seen Tyrone McKenzie make some plays this evening. A bunch of spots open at the backup linebacker spot. Audie Cole is certainly doing everything he can to make it.
He is. You got to give him credit where credit's due. And, you know, we talked about the guys coming into this game, Paul, that needed to make a play. You know, Jerome Simpson was one of them. He made a big play. Harrison Smith was one of them. He made a big play on a breakup on a blitz. It's Jasper Brinkley needs to show up. He needs to have that tackle for a loss. Overall, run defense got better, and I know the huddle and everything starts with him, so he did a much better job setting the front, getting guys in position to make plays. But for Jasper, let's face it, E.J. Henderson was a splash kind of player. He had the tackle for loss. He made some big things happen. And Jasper is still doing a good solid job inside, but we got to see a little bit. I feel you have to see a little bit more out of him, especially when you have someone like a Marvin Mitchell behind him. Granted, he's at a different spot now, but I'm sure Marvin Mitchell giving the look at this!
Oh, look at Audie Cole!
Interception by Audie Cole!
2010 touchdown! Audie Cole!
Are you kidding me?
He's showing off. Chad Greenway, you better look out. Look at the Vikings team run down to the end zone to salute Audie Cole. I can't remember the last time one player had 2 defensive touchdowns in the same game. It might have been Darren Sharper.
Well,
I don't care if it's preseason, regular season, or postseason. Mall of America Field, rise and applaud Audie Cole, who is off the charts good right now.
And again, it's almost the exact same play as before. Reading the play, stepping under it, seeing it, making it, taking it downtown. And this time, there's no question as to whether or not he got in the end zone. Now, Audie Cole, he's our leading touchdown scorer. He's our leading offensive weapon so far this preseason.
Can he play outside the numbers on offense?
Put him at fullback. I don't know, get him somewhere. Every time the guy touches the ball, he puts it in the end zone.
Well, we're going to lose Jerome Simpson the first 3 games of the season. What about Audie Cole outside the numbers as a game-changing receiver for Christian Ponder?
Oh, well,
that's fantastic. Good for Audie Cole.
And what was great is to see.
Boy, Harper picked a good week to wire in for sound last week.
Yeah, great move. Great move.
Sorry, Brian. Love you.
But the great thing about it, too, is we see Audie Cole do it again. And again, it's almost the same play, but these are the instincts that a linebacker has to have underneath, reading the quarterback, stepping in front of a pass. Right here, you can see him eyeballing the quarterback, stepping in front, making a play. So he possesses those skills. And you got to have that to make plays. We've seen him make it twice, and I think the best part is coming up. Really, all of his teammates. We're talking Jared Allen and Kevin Williams, the guys that haven't been playing for about an hour now.
That's awesome.
Everybody, Chris Cook is right there running down Jared Allen down there to celebrate with him, and this is good. I think this bodes well for the defense because they're showing some solidarity. They're taking note of a young guy.
Yeah.
They're getting excited, even though we're 3:05 left to go in the fourth quarter of a preseason game that's suddenly lopsided because of Audie Cole.
Here's the ensuing kick by Blair Walsh. He splits the uprights. Mall of America Field on its feet. Going crazy with 3:05 to go, celebrating the rookies, the kids, shaping the future of Minnesota Vikings football. Look at Blair Walsh. Just drilling this between the uprights.
Wow.
I told you we're not going to give up a kick return touchdown all year because of this kid. I'm not kidding you, man.
Greg Coleman said that one would have been good from 90.
Audie Cole at 5.5 sacks
Can he do it
last year
again?
with North Carolina State. Yeah, we've scored 2 touchdowns in 13 seconds. Where's Audie?
I bet you. What are the odds of them running the ball right now?
They have to because they have no chance. The only way they can repel the challenge of Audie Cole is to run it. Look, that's what they do. I think we just had a member of the Bills, the fullback, managed to tackle the halfback. Audie Cole, by the way, had 13.5 tackles for loss with NC State last year, 10 the year before that. He forced 4 fumbles. We stole him, by the way, in the 7th round.
Is he the?
This is 3rd round talent.
Are we ready to call him SOD? Are we ready to grant him that moniker?
I can call him steal of the draft. Now, by the way, when Jared Allen runs down and hugs you and loves you after your 2nd touchdown in 13 seconds, you can't get cut. I mean, Rick Spielman would be vilified by members of the team if they cut Audie Cole, who just, by the way, made an ankle tackle.
Another nice tackle, seeing the guard pull, coming up, stepping up.
And by the way, do you think members of the New Orleans Saints, Green Bay Packers, and New England Patriots, how fearful are they right now of Minnesota Vikings football? Who says we're constructed to play in close games? We've scored 17 points in 26 seconds. It's like the team for which you played, the 1998 Vikings. That's what we do.
That's what we do. We're a juggernaut.
36-14 Vikings deep in the 4th quarter with Pete Bursich. I'm Paul Allen on the Vikings Entertainment Network. Bills 14 on the simulcast, 2 minutes to go. Vikings rolling over the Buffalo Bills, up by 22 points. Kick it down to the sidelines with rookie safety Harrison Smith. Here's Ben Lieber.
Thanks a lot, guys. We got Harrison Smith here. And Harrison, I want to get you in a second, but Audie Cole, what do you make of his play tonight?
I mean, he's just out there making plays. Last week, first NFL play, he had a sack. So back-to-back drives, pick sixes. That's, he's just on fire right now. He's a great player, and it's awesome to see him out there.
Hey, you got to think, a sack last week, 2 pick sixes. He's made the team, right?
I mean, I don't know. I'm a rookie.
Play GM.
Know, but I don't know how you wouldn't want that guy, playing on your team.
Well, hopefully he, continues to be great this preseason. But back to you, your first NFL start. I know it's a preseason, but what's it mean to you after all the hard work? You've had a great camp. What's it mean to you to come out here, NFL uniform, and get your first start?
I mean, it's been a great experience. Like you said, coming in, first training camp, just mixing it up with the defense, getting more and more familiar, and now getting the first start, kind of, coming into the Metrodome for the first time, just doing it all really. Starting to get more and more comfortable with things.
Well, I can't wait to see you progress, man. Good luck. Back to you guys, guys.
Good job, Ben. Ben Lieber with sideline analysis via the simulcast, putting through NFL Media Boot Camp via my radio show at FM 100.3 The Fan. Brought him down to rookie camp, organized team activities, mini camp, and training camp. I think the former linebacker is progressing quite well, don't you?
He's definitely comfortable in his shoes when it comes to doing that on the sidelines. And
Are you worried?
Look at that
Brad
hole.
Smith.
Come on.
Nearly sacked.
It's getting a little crazy out there, Paul.
What flag on the play here? What kind of season you think we're going to have this year, or is it too early to tell?
It's too early to tell, and you do know one thing is the one advantage that we're supposed to have, that we need to have, was winning at home last year. We only won one of our 8 games at home. And so that advantage, that dome field advantage, is we purple people like to call it, you got to get it back. And so defensively, rough week last week. Offensively, started out, you saw what you needed. But today, it's been a pretty good team effort, and all the way through to the end of the game. And to see Audie Cole, intercept a couple balls, bring him in the end zone, it's finishing where you started. And I thought the offense looked great. I think Christian Ponder looked really, really good for the second preseason game. Defense stepped it up. They were gap wise, got some turnovers, were explosive. Guys like Mr. Raymond flying all over the place.
Yep.
We had that energy, and that Jared Allen in the huddle and Kevin Williams in the huddle and Antoine Winfield in the huddle make a difference. And so it excites you a little bit. And again, I'm excited to see them play like this at home, because we need to win. You have to win almost every single home game you have this year.
Yep.
Because you got some tough ones on the road.
You know what we need to do?
What's that?
Win division games.
Absolutely.
I don't think we've won a division game since early in the 2010 season. I mean, there used to be a time the Lions had no chance against us. It might be a close game, that maybe Gus Farad or somebody would win a close game here like 2008. But winning division games, obviously imperative to having success. And it may be from the Department of Obvious, but nevertheless, we have not won a division game since early 2010.
You're right, and the first one that the Vikings are going to see is in Detroit, a game that, let's face it, they brought it down to the wire, a game that we thought we were out of. It started absolutely poorly, or as bad as it could get, and almost ended with the Vikings victory. So by no means, and it's our home away from home, by the way, when we play the Giants. But no way that any of these Vikings are going to fear going into Detroit and looking at what's going on and who they're going to face, with Stafford and everybody else. So I don't know, Paul. We'll see. I'm excited. It was a good start. It was a next step I think everybody took tonight across the board. Well done. These guys can be proud of what they did.
Incomplete pass from Brad Smith with 19 seconds to go. So Sage Rosenfels will walk in and take a knee, and the Vikings will be convincing victors on a night. Rookie Audie Cole stole the show.
Do we do Jewel of the Game yet?
Do we do what?
Jewel of the Game yet?
That's radio.
But this is simulcast.
I understand that. I'm not the producer. I'm just describing Audie Cole's plays. But if we had the Continental Diamond Jewel of the Game, indeed it would be Audie Cole, who provided plenty of fireworks this evening and plenty reason to celebrate for the rookie linebacker from North Carolina State. He's a 7th-round pick. He's trying as hard as he can to make the squad. And after having a bunch of tackles at San Francisco and a couple of defensive touchdowns tonight, Audie Cole stole the show and led the Minnesota Vikings to a 22-point victory. Jack Jablonski was in attendance tonight. Great to see that recovering story here. Blow the Gallahorn. Also great to see the Minnesota Vikings score their first offensive touchdown of the preseason. It was Christian Ponder to Jerome Felton. And the Minnesota Vikings next will play next Friday against the San Diego Chargers, the ever-important third preseason game where the starters play into the second half. For Pete Bursich, Ben Lieber, and Greg Coleman, and everybody else associated with the Vikings Entertainment Network, I'm Paul Allen. The Vikings beat the Bills 36-14. This is Vikings football.